knock hill. One of them had a knock hill on it. That is harder than you think.
I bet it is. Yeah.
And the thing that's harder with it is your exit of the chicane. You know, the uphill chicane.
Yeah.
You know, because it's blind as you come over the crest, but you've got to sort of, to be as close on that sausage curb, if not two wheels, as possible. But the exit as you land, the gravel comes up so fast on the outside of the chicane, and it's like, holy fucking shit, I'm in it.
I wasn't overly good at it on projects. I was probably better on the slower cars. But I kept like shooting off that chicane. I always kept shooting off to the going off, spearing off to the left. I was never really good at it. Yeah, I've seen it advertised. I don't know if it's going to be any good or not. I guess it's going to be one of those we won't know until it's released.
It's got all I know. There's very little about it. Today they announced that Kyle Army will be on it.
Right.
Which is good. Cool. I like Kyle Army. It's also got Lime Park, which I don't know what that is. It's an American circuit. Okay. I don't know Lime Park. But it's got a track called Mosport, which is Canadian motorsport circuit.
Yeah.
I've commentated on that on Apex. For touring car racing, it is brilliant and ideal. For the smaller stuff. It's a brilliant circuit, fast circuit. Bit like a Thruxton with then a couple of sharper bits in it as well, actually, I'd sort of say. That kind of track. And then they've got Kyle Army, but they've got like the new Lamborghini hypercar. They've not really announced a lot about it. But 30 car grids. Obviously, Project Cars 2 was 16.
16, yeah.
There's a couple of things I'm hoping with this. One, I'm hoping it's cross-platform, because we now have a larger Xbox audience than PlayStation.
Gay,
It is gay, but as a channel, can we really afford to drop the Xbox lot? I don't think we can.
Well, I think and I'm just going by kind of what I think. I think we are one of the best, console-based leagues. I mean, certainly grown in popularity. Look at the size of the grids. So we can't all of a sudden drop one of the consoles. 100%. So I think the channel has made itself that way.
My second thing about it is I want the drivability to be more like ACC.
Yeah.
If the drivability is like, but keeping all its Project Cars 2 broadcaster, commentator stuff.
Yeah. That's
if they keep all that and have the drivability of this, I think we've got a game on our hands with crossplay.
Yeah.
I think depending on what else comes out, car-wise and track-wise, I think we've got a game on our hands.
Yeah. So let's hope so. I mean, Project Cars 2, of its time, I mean, we run it to the dire at death, didn't we?
Oh, we ran it till it was done, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. And, it was a great game, but of its era, we've moved on. And you know what? I said this. Do you remember a couple of years when we went to Donny the first time? I said, I'm going to build a sim trailer. I'm going to build a sim trailer. This one that we were racing on with Thruxton, at Thruxton, with Thruxton on it, that was a nice bit of kit, And what I had in mind to build then would be outdated now,
Yeah.
And the sim world is just moving on so quickly, and it's this Dan now stepping up to a Fanatec, and now I'm going to step up to a Fanatec. It's almost becoming the norm, Fanatec were, when we first started racing, Fanatec were, were top end, weren't they? Now it's becoming the norm.
You've got to I think that's the way sim racing's moved. And you think we've been doing this 5 years in August, right? Yeah. In that 5 year, Project Cars 2 is now, games like Project Cars 2 are dead.
Yeah.
And, it is ACC. And I think ACC is coming to the end of its lifespan. For PC, I think it is. For console, I still think it's at the front. Because console's got nothing else.
Yeah.
But you're right, even in terms of like the wheels, people are looking at Mosers and Fanatecs and, Logitech only released their direct drive wheel the other year, and it's like, well, fuck, you're years behind Fanatec.
Yeah.
And all right, Logitech have always been a great company. They've always done, the G29. I had the G27 and I had the G25. Yeah. All fantastic wheels.
Good kit. Yeah.
All brilliant kit. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They've had to move with the times because that wheel now isn't good enough anymore.
I come back after playing those ones at Thruxton. Right, and I mean, I've used Fanatecs before, and in different situations, whatever. But I come back to mine, and it feels so like toy-like.
Yeah. Dan said the same thing on Monday.
Yeah, it feels toy-like. You know, it doesn't feel like the same precision and feel that that the Fanatec's had. And you're right. You know, it's. I mean, you know, the PS2 was a great machine. We're not still using it, are we?
Exactly.
You have to move on. You know, and yeah, I totally think that. You know, as I said, I mean, I'm sold with the whole thing. As soon as
I'll tell you now, I don't think the G29 is dead. Right.
No, I mean, yeah, mine's still working perfectly. Mine's 5 years old, you know, and it's still working.
What I mean is
entry level.
I think competitive level. Yeah, because I think if you're, let's take a Dean Wysocki. Let's say he's brand new to sim racing, right? Somebody that's obviously more into it than what Dean obviously is, but that kind of level of driver. Oh, I'm going to buy a Fanatec. Like, really?
Yeah.
A G29's a lot cheaper, and I think you can learn a lot more on a G29 than...
Well, yeah, I'll give you an example. My friend Adam from the Kawasaki Centre next door, who's like... him and Freddie are regular viewers now, right? And they're beginning to know the characters, because they've been following for a while, so they know who Tordok is, and, you know, and you know, they got... I mean, I got... You know what bloody ribbon I've got for... and I got the whole cheese on toast thing... just after the 24, I go in and Freddie says, I didn't realise that two men talk so much crap about cheese on toast, you know. And so I know they're into it and they're watching, not every minute, but they are following, you know. So Adam's now getting an interest for sim racing, right? Good. And I started talking Fanatec to him, and he's Fanatec, who are they? And I said, well, you'll see the sponsorship all over the place, right? Of course, last night he's searching Fanatecs. But I think in a minute he's going to buy a steering wheel and pedal. I think he's going to buy. I said to him, get a G29. Start with that. You know, bulletproof. Yeah.
G29,
but in a minute, I think
above it, in it, what, the G923, which is just the newer version.
The slightly newer one. Yeah. Something like that is brilliant entry level. I mean, he might. You know, we've seen people come and go season after season, haven't we?
Exactly.
You know, and you could come along, do a season. You know, you lose interest. You know, it's not the end of the world, is it? So I think it's brilliant entry level stuff.
I mean, what's the price of a Fanatec? What's Dan just paid for his sort of brand?
I think he's a neck end of €1,000. So let's say £1,000.
Yeah, so the euro to pound's probably about £1.
Yeah,
or
it's roughly
let's say £1,000. So he's paid £1,000.
Yeah.
You go to Curry's PC World, pick up a G29 or the G923, whichever one it is, for about 200, 300 quid max.
So I think about 250 quid is about 250. Yeah.
Pick that up, you can come home with it the very same day, plug it in and go.
Yeah, absolutely.
You've got all these problems that Dan's had with Fanatec, because they're in... Bear in mind, you've got to think they're based in Germany, so it's not like it's on the doorstep that Dan can go down and pick one up.
No.
You've saved yourself 750 quid for something that you may do 1 or 2 seasons with and goes, actually, I'm not as into that as I thought, and then sell it, and... Yeah, all right. You'll probably make 200 quid back and lose 50 quid on it, but you've not forked out $1,000.
The way I'm looking at it now, Matt, is my G29 here is now 5 years old, right? I mean, I've had, Haley bought it for me, and it's been, as good as gold. I couldn't say a better thing about it, but I'm still into this after 5 years.
That's it.
Still into it, still enjoying it. I've got both of my quick cars for sale because I've got no interest in them anymore. Because I can get my kicks at home on my sim rig.
Yeah, exactly.
That I mean, it's not quite the same as I mean, it's a little bit more legal than ripping up the streets, but
you've gone from one hobby to the next, and that's obviously something you're now into over the quick cars and everything. Like I said, a little more legal to do it on here than what it is.
Slightly, and a little, and actually a little bit cheaper as well this way.
Especially if you smash it up.
Well, just fuel, insurance, tax, tyres.
To be fair,
Yeah, so all those kind of things that go with keeping cars on the road, and I can get my kicks here and that. So what's wrong with me then upgrading now after 5 years? And I'm thinking, I'm hoping to, let's say, sell the cars reasonably soon, although it's hard work at the moment. But I'm thinking I'm going to have steering wheel pedals. I'm going to have a new frame, seat, TV. Pretty much everything except PlayStation.
If you're wanting a new frame, good look at GT Omega.
Yeah, that's what Dan was saying.
Yeah, they're the go-to ones. I think there's a couple of others I know, but a lot of people I know, in terms of like those who race a lot at Race Unleashed and stuff, their home setup is a GT Omega.
Yeah.
A few others that are good, but...
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of thinking, something along those lines.
Yeah.
And as I say, I might be struggle with space for for a curved screen. But see, they're not hugely expensive either. A curved screen. I think you can get a Samsung one for about 350 quid.
Yeah,
you know.
And again, you can go down to Curry's and pick that up.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. But I might have space issues with that because my TV's quite close to the wall. But I'm thinking, do you know what I mean?
The bonus with GT Omega is the way their rigs are built is you can get attachments that are for your monitors.
Yeah.
And like with GT Omega, I was looking at it the other day. You can either buy a stand that's on wheels that will slide over the top of the back of your rig where your pedals are for a TV to mount onto. Depending on which one of the 4 rigs you get, you can mount the TV station to the base of the rig, and it's all mounted together. And you can even go as far as like mounting a cup holder onto it and mounting a keyboard holder and stuff like that.
Which would be useful for us,
Oh,
isn't it? I spend my evenings not racing, or I do, but Thursday evenings I sat in my sim rig, but I'm not,
exactly,
not using any of it,
Right, we are live, not voices. I'm just going to run to the toilet before we do go live.
Yeah, I am too. Yeah,
no worries.
yeah. Another cup of tea. You darling. Here we go.
Well, I don't know if she noticed the bus or if she clocked me. Oh. Every town has its ups and downs. Sometimes up. What? Check another juicy form to break it. Is this one you made earlier? It's the same, isn't it? My car's like, this one I made earlier. See what I did there? I remember the down. I'm inclined to believe when we were so down, we'd up and leave, we'd up and fly, we had wings to fly. Can't you see the tears we're crying? Yeah, nothing, no happiness for me. Naughty, naughty. Come on, Kelly Davis. Where are you? Come on, Kelly. Kelly Davis, where the fuck are you? Are we ready?
Yep.
5, 4. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is Simplay Motorsport Pro Evening, round 1 and 2 of the season. We are back with yet another thrilling championship. I'm your host, Matthew Duffin, bringing you all the pro action once again live with Kelly Davis throughout this entire season in what looks to be, finally, for the pro drivers, a stacked grid. 34 cars, we're expecting 35 here tonight. And as you can see, there are a lot of Ferraris and a lot of McLarens, 10 of each I do believe, or 11 and 10, which either way, it is heavily dominated by them with the odd BMW, Audi, Mercedes-Benz, Aston Martin and Ford Mustang on the grid. But Kelly, good evening. A season I think in which we expected Ford Mustangs to be the main car and the go-to car, and we've got McLarens and Ferraris. Either way, it's going to be a good one.
Absolutely, and it's great to be back, Matthew, and well done everyone, and congratulations, because you are listening to the Supreme Dream Team and you are watching probably the pinnacle of sim racers around the world, and I don't say that lightly. You're listening to Simplay Motorsport and watching Simplay Motorsport, and we are got to be the premier console league now with 35 of the best drivers from all around the world, and it's going to be a great season, Matt. Yes, you're quite right. The Mustang, we thought there'd be loads of them, but it's only Overtaker who seems to have held on to his Mustang. Everyone has jumped ship, and they finally come round to my thinking with a lot of McLarens on the grid.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. Either way, we can run you quickly through the teams as we come to the end of the
We've got a lot to do, haven't we?
We've got a lot to do. Obviously, we've got that the extra 10 minutes practice that there would normally be is obviously it's week 1. It's qualifying, double week of qualifying this week. Tordoc stays as MSA Racing, your Constructors' Champions, with that of Sylph. They're running the Red Bull MaxVerstappen.com liveries on their car. In the Ferraris this year come out the Ford Mustang. Team Audio Sport, same lineup for them, but a new machinery. They've come out the Porsche and the Aston Martin, and they've gone for a set of Lamborghinis. Dan Davis,
we got a good deal
Ben
on them.
Rook. Got a good deal.
Dan Davis and Ben one Rook. Got 5 free. Yeah.
Dan Davis and Ben Rook lining up with each other there. Dapper Racing, and if you think, well, that name sounds familiar, it might sound like the Napa Racing of the British Touring Car Championship. Dapper Racing of Hoopert, this time in the BMW, teaming up with the returning Honda of Kieran O'Reilly, leaving the Simplay stable, moving to the MSA stable. Interested to see what he can do this season. We then got Yin Yang Racing, which I think is probably one of the best names on the grid this season. Carlos is in that car, and he is teamed with one of the Mercedes-Benz down the order of Brandon Williams, who was pretty decent at times last season. He's in his Mercedes-Benz as well. That is Yin Yang Racing. Gotta love that team name. AS Racing, which is the which is part of the Audio Sport Simplay stable. AS Racing, AS obviously standing for Audio Sport. That is Patrick Ledger, who was free agent in terms of independent for the last 2 or 3 seasons. He's made the jump into the team, and he's going to be joined by when I can find his Lamborghini. There is so many drivers to go through, Kelly. It's strange.
Yeah,
He's going to be teamed with Cardno, Cobb, AK from back in the day, who's been regular followers since day one. Zampolini for Team RRM. We saw him on Tuesday night. Looks a very, very quick driver in that machinery. He is teamed with, and I can't honestly see who he is teamed with. He's teamed with De Bont, who we've seen in a few of the fun events. He looks a quick guy as well. Keep your eyes out for those two. Cloud9 Racing of Overtaker and that of the man himself. Wherever I can find his name. So many names to go through here. Jamal Clouden, P14, finally gets to run the Cloud9 name on the grid. We've then got Sny Roadrunner Motors, who I think, by the way, and this is early doors, can't see it properly at the moment because he's merged with another car. I think Sny's got contender of livery of the season. The red on it is just something so nice about it. He is teamed with, again, can't see who. Do you know what? It may have just been easier to have loaded up who they're teamed with on the tables, wouldn't it? That may have been
it could have been.
Roadrunner Motors is Sny and Stardog. That's why I can't find who he's teamed with. Stardog isn't here tonight, so that is who Sny is teamed with. De Bont, we know is Team RRM is that of De Bont and Zampolini, as we've just gone through. McGowan, Team GBR, he's gone over to the Greasy Bandit stable with fellow driver Skunky. Both gone to the McLaren as well, which I find interesting to see what they can do. Simplay Racing keep hold of Mike Matthews and bring in Matt Wright in the McLarens for them too this year. Just looking at it, we've not said Greasy Bandits Racing will be that of Damien Hibbs, our Pro-Am champion from last year. He's making the step up with John Gooday in that Greasy Bandit stable there. And we've just gone to qualifying, so I've now got to find exactly who I've not mentioned and go from there. Erkin Koglu for Bam 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 Racing in possibly another contender for livery of the season. Very Aston Martin coloured vibes in that that's the car in front of him that's Aston Martin coloured vibes. But Bam 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 Racing of Erkin Koglu. He is teamed with that of Will Freed. No, is that right? That's not right. Oh, so many names, Kelly. So little time. He's teamed with Umut Oza. Umut Oza is not here tonight, so we'll see. Will Keynes is in the Aston Martin coloured Ferrari of the Full Sand Short Lords. He's teamed with Kalseth, a very capable drive last season. Van Zyl leaves the Aston Martin, goes to the McLaren. He's independent on his own. Sullivan makes his return independent on his own. Michael Harris, Utopia Motorsports. He is teamed with that of Rob Smith, who's not here tonight. Patrick Ledger, as we've already said. Meyer out the Aston Martin into the McLaren. He joins us back for another season. Just try and see if we've not said anybody. We've missed the Quantum Motorsport boys of Millington and that of Robert Ramsell, who make the step. They stay in the Ferrari, but make their step over from Greasy Bandits to Quantum Motorsport. We've then got Heo, who is new to Pro this year from the Pro-Am Series, and Lino in as well as Will Friedman. Team named but independent driver, Ballbusters Racing, in the Ferrari, leaving the Porsche. So no Porsches this season out there on the track.
No, they obviously have been that Porsche off for being hard work.
I'd agree. But qualifying, Kelly, for race 1 of the season is underway. And don't forget, week 1, 50-minute practice, a 10-minute qualifying, followed by the new 15-minute sprint race, and we'll get into that on the formation lap. We've then got the 10-minute break, followed by a 15-minute qualifying for race 2, and then the 1 hour 10-minute race. Again, we'll get into that a little later on.
As you said, we've got lots to talk about. New format, new way that the drivers are categorised as well. So we need to get into that at the moment. We have got less than 8 minutes now, and we've got 34 drivers. And they're all on track. How crazy is that? It's going to be. I mean, we need to. I think we need to revise our own contracts, Matt, because we are going to have a lot to do and a lot to talk about.
And like just then, Kelly.
I know, like an idiot as well. I haven't brought my laptop up, so I've only got what's on my screen at the moment. I'll get that in a break. But yes, it's going to be chaos. Don't go anywhere because you'll miss the action, and I think there's going to be plenty of it tonight.
You will indeed. Good evening to Rob Smith, Tips, the Nightbot, Andrew Aberdeen, Chris, Gary Clawble, Ian Thompson as well in the chat as well. Who's here tonight as Sny's coming through to start or to finish the end of his first flying lap and has already caught up to a bit of
blasted.
traffic. And look at that little track map, Kelly, at the bottom corner. There are cars everywhere on this circuit tonight. It is going to be tough to keep an eye on who is where and doing.
Reminds me of Clio's.
Oh my, doesn't it just? If you could have had a full grid, wow.
Yeah,
this is going to be interesting. It's and we'll go through the calendar as well. We've got some tracks this season for you all as Cloudon pops it up into P3. What will Dan Davis do? He moves up the order. That's Mike Matthews then just behind him. He stays P7, overtaken then in the Soul Mustang.
It's going to change like a fruit machine, this, isn't it?
Oh, this is going to be chaos.
Like a fruit machine.
Absolute chaos. And we're not going to be able to keep our eyes on everybody coming through the final corner because it's just going to go by so quick at the moment. We're down with Calsef. But Kelly, I'm expecting great things this season. 35 cars, like I say, we're expecting tonight. This is going to be one heck of a grid.
Absolutely, and I think there's going to be some very interesting. We've got some new guys who are very handy, and I think, and there's a few guys who, the Audio Sport team, for example, have changed cars, and Cloudon's looking good, and I think there's going to be, some big fights for the top. There's also going to be a lot of disappointments as well, because it is going to get argy-bargy, isn't it?
I think we could have a few surprises. The likes of Goudet and Snai and Hibbs coming up from Pro-Am looked pretty nimble last season. It's going to be interesting to see what they can do on their approach to this season.
Yeah, absolutely, and we don't know what the season's going to bring, and but as I said, I'm pretty sure it's going to be a classic.
100% certain it will be a classic as Brandon Williams just drops down because Snai moves up into P2. Snai's worked hard. Remember, he was third place in Pro-Am last season, so he's obviously put the time in because that is some good pace from Snai as Hoopert nearly breaks the 28 the 1 minute 28 mark. Dan Davis coming towards the line now as Cloudon doesn't improve. Dan moves now up into second place. We've then got 442 coming towards the line. That is Carlos, who was a bit of a front runner at times last season. He's currently down in 26th place, 3 seconds off the mark. We don't think that's going to be a respectable time because we assume that's going to be beaten as he's now down to 27th and crosses the line and shoots himself up the order to P4. So at the minute, this is going to be the other interesting thing, Kelly. This is what we saw Tuesday night. For someone like O'Reilly on Tuesday night, qualified down in 19th place in the first qualifying session. These qualifying sessions with this amount of cars on the grid, track position and getting that banker lap in is going to be key.
Absolutely. Yeah, it is going to be key. There's going to be a lot going on, a lot of traffic. It also reminds me of the 5 minute qualifying we used to have in GT4. It's just going to be madness out there. You've got to get on with it. And again, we'll get into the format of how the weeks are going to, because there's going to be a reverse grid, but it's going to be slightly different, isn't it, with the new categorisation of the classes. So, but we will get into that all in good time. We've got lots to do, and we're here all night.
While there's 4 minutes left, let's get into. Let's first of all go through the calendar a moment because it's hard to keep up with who's doing what. We'll just keep changing drivers for the time being.
Just before you get into that, just 1 second, I'll just say hi. I have opened my phone and managed to see the chat. So good evening to all the normal regulars this evening, and a big hello to Chris. Saw Chris at the weekend at British Touring Car. Good to see you, and all the rest of you. Great to see so many people in the chat. Stick with us all season if you can. We would love to have you with us, and keeping us honest. Sorry, Matt, go on.
DJ Phil's asked the question if he's still trying to get his head around the red and greys and whites and everything, and he said there's two number one drivers this season in the new format. I'll explain why there's two number ones. The calendar, though, for this year, we start here at Zolder. We head to Monza for an early morning race next week, which is going to be fantastic, sort of going from the dark into the daylight. Zandvoort for week 3. We head to Kota for week 4. Barcelona is week 5, our hot stint circuit. Hungaroring week 6. Misano week 7 with Paul Ricard week 8. First of the night races is Suzuka, followed by the second of the night races, which is Laguna. You've then got Snetterton, Valencia, and we end with the 13th race this season, the home of Simplay Motorsport, Donington Park, in the evening time to mix things up a little bit. That's the calendar. I think it's a brilliant looking calendar, to be fair.
I've done my normal thing of picking a couple of 3 races that I'm going to race Pro-Am, and it was difficult to choose, to be honest. There's some great tracks there.
And to answer DJ Phil's question, there isn't 2 number 1 drivers as such. Snai, who the entry list has said it wrong, Snai is currently running the 443. He will be number 1 as from next week in GT3s. He is the GT3 defending champion. O'Reilly, if he wanted to, he hasn't. He's picked his normal number of 74, I do believe it is. But if he wanted to, could have ran number 1 for the Ginettas. due to the fact he won GT4s last season. Now he isn't running that, so there isn't 2 number 1s out there on the grid. And as for the colours and the divisions, well, you can see it already with the 2 numbers here that there is white and silver on the track. That is because this season, or last season, Matt Wright, and you may have seen it in the GT4s last season, did a bit of work on a gold, bronze, silver and bronze category, as well as platinum, bringing into this season. This is where reverse grids and things are going to be different. The white numbers are platinum drivers. Here on the Pro Series, white on Tuesday night is gold. The Ginettas is separate to the GT3s. So white is gold tonight, silver tonight. White is platinum, silver tonight is gold, because the platinum colour of black doesn't work.
Right.
So normally on single player, black is platinum.
So for the ease of watching, white is the upper category, grey is the lower category.
On the Wednesday night, grey is the upper category and red is the lower category. The way this is going to work with reverse grids is the reverse grid of full reverse grid is no longer happening. The new reverse grid format is you are reversed by your category. So platinum drivers will all start at the front next week. Or in Pro-Am, silver drivers will start at the front.
Yeah.
And they will be reversed top to bottom of platinum and silver.
So, the way to understand this, basically, it's like Pro and Pro-Am in the real world race together in different categories. And again, like you get at Le Mans and lots of other series, you have different categories for different drivers. And this is basically 2 categories. And Matt Wright's put an awful lot of work into to punch the numbers and work out who deserves to be where. So it's a much fairer system for who should be placed where, is my understanding.
Yeah.
It will take a minute or two for maybe some of us to get your heads around it, but as we go through the season, if you stick with us and you pay attention, it'll all become clear. And Sam Williams in the chat, absolutely right.
And one thing to mention as well is there is no overall wins per these categories. The overall race win still goes to the overall race winner. What you now get is a class win. So, for example, if
like touring car,
like the GTs in the real world as well. To be fair,
totally,
If Mike Matthews was the top gold driver tonight, he would have got the race-winning gold in race 1 or race 2, whichever race he was topping. So, for example, last night, which I can share with you now, obviously the race winners went the way of Bolton and Langley. The class winners went the way of Benny Archer and Rob Smith.
Yeah,
because they won.
I heard Rob had one.
So Langley and Bolton won the race outright and won for silver. The bronze winner was Rob Smith and Benny Archer. They was the bronze winners last night. In the GT, Zampolini and Hooper got two gold wins and a gold win for Hooper. Matt Wright, Snye and Darren Yeo got a silver win, and the bronze wins went the way of 3 race wins for Langley in that silver category. So that is the way in which it is going to work this season. As qualifying comes to an abrupt end, Steve Millington is the last driver to cross the line, and for the first time this season we could say that we have got a point on the board in the pro category, and it has gone the way of none other than Tardock.
No, not overly surprised. But look at that, top 17 drivers separated by a second.
Yeah.
You don't break the second until you get down to 18th. That's mad.
It is crazy. And also, this is what we mean by this, and this is where it's going to be interesting, because Snye and Mike Matthews, 2 silver drivers, mixing it in the top 10 with the 2 gold drivers, mixing it in the top 10 with the platinum drivers.
Yeah, and this is how these things are going to pan out. And as I said, it'll all start to become more clear as you follow along, and we'll all get the hang of it. So, but it's definitely looks like a change for the good, for sure.
Indeed, it does. So I'm just inputting the qualifying results here from the first qualifying session.
That's a lot to input as well, isn't it?
More than normal, isn't it, Kelly? We normally put in 12 or 13 names down. We've got 34 to input tonight. Jamal Clouden, P4. Good qualifying that from Clouden.
Yeah, good one. As I said, Clouden. Yeah, Clouden looks like he's stepping up a bit, doesn't he?
He does indeed. Dan down in 7th. He'd probably be a bit disappointed with that. I think he may have expected a bit more. O'Reilly down in 9th. Not used to seeing him so far down. Overtaker down in 14th place. That is quite the shock, I think, of qualifying so far today.
Well, yes, it's again, as I said, it's a lot of there's a lot of cars, and you know, separated by very small margins, and that's what we've got to remember, really, isn't it? I expect there was a few others I expected higher up the list. Carlos with a good effort as well in second place.
Cracking.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, so yeah, it'll all start to shape up, won't it?
It'll all start to shape up. Indeed, it's going to be an absolutely fantastic night's worth of racing. You can be sure about that one. A lot of new faces on the grid and a lot of new liveries as well, and drivers in different cars. So it's going to be, I think, a little bit fantastic. I can't see Calsef on there. That might be the driver we're missing, so just skip him for now. Where did Will Friedman qualify? 22nd for Will Friedman. Wow, that is down the order for Will Friedman. They're expecting him, there's Calsef, he's 27. Expecting him to up that order a little bit more, but you know, he's come out of that trusted Porsche that he normally drives, and he's only in the Ferrari. We know the Ferrari's a very good, capable car, but I'm a little shocked by 22nd for Will Friedman. They're the last place driver in Platinum.
Yeah, somebody's got to be there. Might just not panned out for him. Might have had traffic. That's definitely going to be an issue.
Oh, 100%. I think this is going to be. I think that's going to catch drivers out this season. I think that, especially when we get to. You think of tracks like Zandvoort, Kelly. Zolder's already a tight enough track as it is, quite narrow, you know, and difficult to get through. I think it's Stein, the other car that we're missing. I've not seen Stein out there. Zampellini was up the order in 6th. De Bont was 15th. Sullivan was down in 20th. And then Lino was at the back in P34. So yeah, Stein not on the grid. So your grid order then for this first race this evening looks a little like this. It's Tardok from Carlos, as we're going to go to the heli camera. It's Tardok from Carlos, from Silf, from Hoopert, with Jamal Clouden, Zampellini, Dan Davis, Dimitri Schnei, Kieran O'Reilly, Mike Matthews, Brandon Williams, Ian McGowan, Ben Rook, Overtaker, De Bont, Erkin Koglu, Skunky, Meyer, Matt Wright, Sullivan, Patrick Ledger, Will Friedman, Van Zyl, Cairns, Calseth. Harris in the Audi, good, interesting choice of car, that Audi.
Yeah.
Hibbs is in 27th, from Rob Ramsell 28th, Cordno 29th, Hoffer 30th in the Mercedes this year, with Millington, Hayhoe, Gooday and Lino rounding out the back then. Kelly, a prediction on a race winner?
You're having a laugh, aren't you? I think Tardok has got a good chance at it being on pole. He's got an opportunity to get away early. Carlos is going to give him. I don't know. If I've got to say someone, I'm going to say Tardok. I think that's a bit of a weak choice, to be honest. Not that Tardok's weak, that I didn't analyse it enough, but that's going to be just in case Craig and Ian about me. You know. Yeah, not that Tardok's weak driver. It's just an easy choice for me to take. Oh dear, I feel like digging a hole.
We come out the final corner then, and we get towards the start-finish line. It's Zolder here in Belgium, and we're going to get race 1 underway as we are green and go for the first race of the season. 15 minutes. Drivers can pit when they want, and just add a splash and dash bit of fuel as we head into turn 1 for the first time. It's all nice and clean, apart from the fact that Carlos and Sylph have tapped and around, and that is one of the cars backwards. Absolute mayhem in the backfield. The Audi's been taken, so has Hayhoe, but Tardok leads from Hoopert. Dan Davis has gone from 7th to 3rd. Mike Matthews has gone from 10th up into 4th place. That is a heck of a start from the McLaren driver. He's ahead of Clouden. Sylph looks like he's got away with that a little bit. He's only just behind Clouden. And now that Honda, with its awesome straight line speed, powering down against the Mercedes-Benz in towards the first chicane. Matt Wright is bouncing off the wall in the background there then. And the Honda loses out of Kieran O'Reilly to that of Brandon Williams.
Who's that been hit? Mike Matthews been hit from behind. No, is it Mike? No, sorry,
Matt
Wright. Matt Wright being hit from behind. Give us a minute while we work out who's who and new liveries and new cam positions and all the rest of it. So, couple of guys lost out there. Mike Matthews with a huge wiggle there. Dan's up into 3rd now. Had a great start, really mixing it up with these guys. And who lost out there? Zampini lost out, didn't he? He went backwards.
12th. He's had a nightmare start. Where's Will Friedman? Yes. He's only 28, so he's not come through the pack. And Carlos down at the back. That is a spinner. I think that is the 229 coming through the hairpin. There it is. It's Cairns then, who has got a bit of damage on the front end. Myers got incredible damage on the front of his McLaren at the back.
Yeah, Clouden all over the back of Mike Matthews. Mike Matthews, I don't know if he's struggling for tyre temperature or he shouldn't be heavily fuelled for this sprint race, only 15 minutes. But Mike seems to be all over the track at the moment, only just trying to get his tyres in the right window, but he's dropping back. Clouden's all over him, and Dan's just starting to pull away just a little bit.
But this is the interesting thing, Kelly, is who is going to go what on fuel, because 1 second of fuel is stationary for about 1 lap of fuel, litre of fuel is stationary for about 3 seconds as Clouden coming under pressure from Sylph, who's going to go right around the outside at the first chicane. That is a beautiful move from Sylph. And now Clouden's coming under pressure from Brandon Williams as they come down towards the Gilles Villeneuve chicane then. And Williams can't get it done. Clouden manages to keep that one coming off, and Clouden, late on the brakes into the side of Sylph. Sylph off the track, Clouden around, reverses it back. But I've got a feeling Clouden's going to be stationary there while all this traffic comes through, slowly rejoins, but he's got to stay to that outside line, and that is not the start Clouden would have wanted today.
No, I think Clouden misjudged that one a little bit. Throw it down the inside, hoping to get it stopped. That chicane comes at you really quickly, and it does catch you out, Matt, doesn't it? That one, it kind of comes at you really fast,
and it's very easy when you're sort of off the line, Kelly, defending that inside line. It is easy to just miss the brakes and do what Clouden did.
Yeah,
as
totally.
Matt Matthews now coming under increasing pressure from that of Sylph at the moment down the sharp end of the grid. Drop back to Matt Wright on the back of Hibbs as we look at John Gooday attacking the back of, it says Stephen Millington, but that is not, that is Sully's car. So Sully has got past John Gooday. And who's that behind John Gooday? That's Clouden behind John Gooday. So he's dropped down to 21st place. I'm surprised he's not just pulled into the pits. Sny Ramsell, who are having a bit of a ding-dong fight at the moment. Sny's got some big damage. Ramsell to the outside of the hairpin, looking for the up and under. But Sny Ramsell, Kalsef Hoffer, Cairns Ledger, Friedman Carlos have all done their pit stops. Meyer in the pit still with that damage. Lino and Heyo in as well.
This is a new change for this season as well, isn't it? The pit window is open from straight away almost, so you can pit any time you want. You don't have to wait for the pit window like you've had to in the past.
Only in race 1. Race 2 it opens after 5 minutes and closes with 5 minutes to go. It's a 60-minute pit window. Yeah, 60-minute pit window for this season.
Yeah, so it's a bigger pit window this season, so that's also a new change. As I said, as we go, we'll bring you up to date and remind you time and time again that these changes. Sylph has a look down the outside into the right-hander at the back of the circuit on Mike Matthews. Mike Matthews, I'm proud of him. He's doing a great job of defending KLF-like, holding Sylph back because Sylph is on a mission. But the front three are pulling away, and Tardok now just gapped Hooper by over a second now. So Tardok going off into the distance. Remember, this is only a 15-minute race, and we're a third of the way through already.
Yeah, we are a third of the way through, and it is good defending. Easy to defend around here, I'd say, apart from this first sector. This first sector is really where you can make some moves and find it hard to defend. After that, the chicanes and the tightness of sector 2 onwards really does help you and allow you to defend that little bit more. We've got McGowan, Hibbs and Van Zyl have all come into the pit lane. Clouden has got ahead of John Gooday. I'm very surprised that Clouden down there hasn't gone into the pits to try and get an undercut on a few drivers. We've got Gooday and Sully side by side at the minute, coming through turn 3 down in towards turn 4. Michael Harris watching on just behind. John still side by side with Sully then as they come through turn 4. John nearly into the gravel. Harris fancies making this 3 wide. Sully cuts that one off very quickly, and John and Sully still side by side. Harris nowhere to go. Bit of door banging into the first chicane. They're still together. Sully has to give it a bit of a cut and yields that time to give the place back to John, but he's also going to lose out to Harris now, and Harris may fancy a look at Gooday as they come down towards the Gilles Villeneuve chicane, and Harris stays where he is, but Sully there, rightly so, gave that time back but cost himself a place.
Good driving from Sully there. We'll commend that. I didn't think they were both going to get through. John made the corner, which was great. I didn't think he was going to slow it down in time, but got through the chicane absolutely perfectly.
And then we've still got this quartet here of Mike, Sylph, Williams and O'Reilly with overtaker. In fact, Ben Rook's on the back of this. I didn't see his little white Lamborghini popping up till after they come over the crest. There's Ben and that brightly yellow coloured Ford Mustang. A little bit off this pack at the moment. Had to say, had an incredible race with Sylph on Tuesday night. Some great battles with him in the Ginetta series, the Who Darren Cup.
I heard you did quite well, Matt.
Yeah, 5th and 2/4. I was pretty impressed with that. But
that's not
Sylph,
bad.
though, has got to run on Mike Matthews in towards turn 4. And Sylph just bides his time, gets alongside Mike, who drops a wheel into the gravel. Momentum lost. Sylph through. Mike gives him a flash. I saw nothing wrong with that there. I thought it was just great bit of driving. Williams now fancies a move at the chicane as well. And Williams gets past. So Mike, out of 4 into 5 and 6, loses 2 places. And he's now got his former teammate of O'Reilly lurking on the back of him.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's happened to... Where's Dan gone?
Dan's pitted.
Oh, Dan's pitted. There you go. Of course, this pit opened so early. It's it's hard to keep up. So all the way about 17. Well, half the grid over half the grid have pitted now. But we're halfway through the race. To be honest,
yeah.
This sprint is going to be very very fast paced throughout the season. It's going to come up really quickly, isn't it?
So Dan's a leading pit runner, Kelly, and I'm just looking at the track map. It says the 4:42. That is Carlos, who's a lap down to Dan. So Carlos should be no worries. Dan has got a good bit of track space to do some things here with this undercut, depending on when Tordock and Hooper pit. Everybody's going through. The 10 has caused a yellow flag. That is Overtaker, who's got bad damage and is off. He wasn't really near anybody, so I wonder if anything has happened further forward. There's Sylph, there's Williams, there's O'Reilly. Mike Matthews has got damage. Where's Ben? Ben is in the pit, but Mike has got an incredible amount of side damage and rear. So is him and Ben are coming together, or has Overtaker missed his brakes by a long way?
Unfortunately, we don't know.
Oh, Chris has just said in the chat, Mike's crash going into the pit. So I wonder if that's what's caused Overtaker.
Okay, yeah, could be. Unfortunately, what hasn't improved is ACC's cameras, and we only still get to see what we can see, and not an overview of everything, which is a shame.
Yeah, it is indeed. Down with Rob Ramsdell, just losing out the 302. That is Skunky in and out the pit, but he's got to come back in. Stop, go 30 for him. We have seen no end of track limits and pit lane speed penalties this week at Zolder. It has been horrendous for the amount of offences being caused. It has been strange to see. But Rob Ramsdell...
Wait till Zandvoort.
Oh, I can imagine with Zandvoort, especially with that pit lane. But to be fair, Monza's pit lane's pretty quick, isn't it, coming off the parabolic?
Yeah, it is, it does come up, very fast,
So the leading pit runner is Dan Davis. He's 14 seconds, I think that said, behind Sully. The car in front of Dan is a back marker, so he should move out the way. McGowan on the back of that isn't Erkin Koglu. That is Ben Rook. It's Erkin Koglu on the back of Ben Rook. I thought to press McGowan there. So Erk or Koglu, or if you want to say Erkil Koglu, then that's fine. But we will vary this name, I think, as this season goes.
Anybody who knows me knows that I'll abbreviate that to Erk or something.
Yeah, 100%. I called it before I'd even spoke to you that you're going to start calling him Erk. I can't remember who I said it to. I went, Kelly, we'll just name him Erk for the entire season. And you joined the party. Cool. It was like, this is going to be his name. The one thing to note, Kelly, the drivers that's had damage, what are they going to do? Does Mike and Overtaker repair that damage on a 15-minute race? They're both going to be jumped, by the way, by Ben.
Depends,
John Gooday, I think, may have jumped Mike in the pits. Gooday was done before Mike Matthews. Tordock has done his pit stop, came out just ahead of Keynes. So where's that in relation to Dan? I'll tell you, well up the road.
Well, Sully has jumped John Gooday in the pits.
Ah, there we go.
He's out in front of him. Yeah, he's out in front of him.
And they didn't jump Mike. So John's pit stop was done first, but Mike was obviously further down the pit lane. So John obviously didn't jump there.
Tardock's done his. He's now the front runner.
Yeah. And he's pulled a bit more of a gap, I'd say, over Dan after the pit stop.
Yeah, he's three and a bit seconds is what my screen's saying, but the timing again on ACC can be kind of all over the place depending on sectors and whatever.
Well, they've just gone through sector 2, so let's have a look now. 3.4, so that seems seem like it's about right. Ben Rook here. Swindle making the chat, what is the protocol if you yield to give a spot back but get passed by another car? You are not given the spot to, or is it it's their protocol in that situation, Swindle Mac? They don't have to, then if a ticket goes in on them, then obviously the stewards can decide on penalty or whatever. Yeah, I think that's down to you. That was all Sully's prerogative there.
Choice. Yeah.
I
mean, he could have. Yeah, he could have nailed it on through and taken the chance that a penalty might have got it. It's it was unfortunate because it's common courtesy. If you haven't made the corner, you've gone off track. It's common courtesy to give it back. It's nice racing, you know. But yes, he did lose out. So you know, that's the way it goes sometimes.
Yeah, that is the way it goes, and that's just the way the cookie is crumbled for him.
Yeah.
Sny's on the back of, it says Mike Matthews. There is Mike after the pit stop. Sny's still got Ramsell hassling the back of that Mercedes as a massive twitch opens the door mid-turn 3. Out of 3 they come. Ramsell's got that inside line now coming into turn 4, and Ramsell, can he get it done? Sny holding strong round the outside, and I think that Ferrari could now in the straight line just get past that of Sny. This is all as well, by the way, for the battle in the gold category, because Mike Matthews is the race leader of gold. There's no extra points for leading gold neither, by the way. The points stay the same, sprint and feature. It's one overall championship, but it's just a nice little thing to see if you're battling others around you. Hooper came out closer to the back of Tardock, so Tardock and Hooper came out a little further ahead of Dan, but Dan has pulled that gap down a little bit. Erkin still on the back of Ben. We've got this great battle of Mike, Sny, Ramsell, that then of Matt Wright and Hibbs, all for company. Clouden back up to 15th, Overtaker down in 18th.
Yeah, I'm on board with Matt Wright at the moment. Watching brief over Robert Ramsell and Sy in front. This is shaping up into quite a battle. There's a little bit of a twitch Matt Wright has as he comes out the final corner, and looks like everyone has pitted now, is it? I would say so. Yeah. We've only got 2 minutes left of the race. I mean, as I said, it's going to go so quickly. So top 3 looking like this: Tardock, Hooper, Davis is your top 3 at the moment. How far away is Silth from Davis? Quite some pace behind, isn't it? Yeah, 7.8. So he's quite a way behind at the moment. A bit of traffic in between the leaders as well, by the looks of it.
Yeah, and Silt's got his own little worries as well. So he's got Williams within a second, who's got O'Reilly in a second of him, who's got Ben within a second of him, who's got Erkin within a second of him. So all a little bit of a traffic jam, and I don't think Mike repaired his damage. We know Sny didn't, and this is the real train at the moment coming down in. Clouden's 2.4 off the back then of Hibbs, then it's Zampolini in 16th, then it's Cordno P17 on the back of him. We've then got Overtaker and Calseth. We've Gooday just on the back of Calseth. What's happened, Kelly?
Sorry, Ramsell went very wide on the grass, just avoid the wall. He kind of, Sy went a little bit kind of deep as well, and I thought Robert Ramsell was going in the wall, but he managed to just get it all back together. But it cost him time.
Well, the lead's on the final lap. Hayo has returned to the pit lane, so that could be a retirement in this race. Will Friedman, 29th in that Ferrari, Kelly. He's on the back of Patrick Ledger, just has not come through the field. De Bont on the back of Cairns, Harris on the back of Steve Millington. So his drivers massively, I'd say, out of position in this race at the moment. And look at this, you've got Calseth, Gooday, Van Zyl and Sullivan all together, with Hoffer not far off the back of them. But we are on the final lap. There's 1.7 between Tardock and Hoopert. Hoopert's then got Dan Davis 3.6 behind, with Silf 7.3. It looks like the season's going to start, not how intended, because I don't think Tardock won at Donington at the end of last season, but it's going to start with MSA back on top once again.
Absolutely, and we've got an awful lot to talk about. This first race has gone so quickly, but just because to make Rob Smith happy, Ginsters aren't a real pasty, and Hondas are the best lawnmowers in the world.
And I've not even said anything to
I hadn't either, but Rob said we're not going to go a whole race without mentioning pasties or lawnmowers. No, we're not. That is that's the bottom line. But there isn't going to be much chat about them tonight.
I tell you what we're not going to do. We're not going to miss race winners this season, as Tardock comes towards the line, and he's going to win with the fastest lap of the race, the opener this season. Hoopert is going to come across for P2, with Dan Davis out the Porsche back on the podium. Silf is then going to come towards the line for P4 in this race. What a job from him after that chaos start from Williams, from O'Reilly, Ben Rook P7, with then Erkin P8. McGowan's going to come towards the line for P9. Mike Matthews P10, and what will be the gold winner from Sny, Ramsell, Wright, Hibbs, Cloud and Zampolini all at the end. That was a train of cars. Cordno will come across for 17th place, with It will be overtake, sorry, so that must be a back marker behind there, with overtake rated from Calseth, John Gooday 20th from Van Zyl, no, from Tobias Hoffer from Van Zyl, from Harris, from Sullivan, from Millington, from Cairns, from De Bont. These have come through in a great gaggle. Ledger, Friedman, Lino is the last car out there, and Heyo is 2 laps down, so that, I believe, is possible damage at the end. I'm sure the stewards will get a look at that one, but that will be classified as 33rd, which isn't points anyway.
How far down do the points go?
30th.
30th, oh, okay.
Yeah. So you've got to be on it this season.
Yeah, absolutely. And, well, what a start. A little bit of...
I believe someone's left the lobby, so...
Okay.
The positions have just all gone up.
A little bit back to normal with Tardock at the front, Hooper right in there as well. Silth right in there in 4th, O'Reilly around. Dan looking a bit more racy, seemed to be happy with that, the way he was weaving across the line. Ben in there, and some of the possibly a little bit disappointing for Mike. Mike probably would have wanted more. Clouden with that spin. Overtaker was expecting probably a little bit more, but it's early days. Race 1, we've only done 15 minutes. I am shattered already.
Yeah, it's been a busy one already, but we will be back in a few moments' time. Don't go anywhere, as we will be back for qualifying 2 and the second race of the season. Well, that was just pure chaos.
It was good though, wasn't it? I mean, it was chaos. There wasn't any particularly bad racing.
No, I didn't see any. Racing. I just think
I didn't think there was any silliness. You know, it was just lots of them, wasn't it?
I just think a lot of cars on such a small circuit.
I think it's good if we can keep the numbers like this throughout the season, which I've got my doubts, to be fair.
Oh, massively, mate. Massively.
Yeah, I do believe that some of them will realise that they're not as good as they think they are and start leaving. But if we could keep these numbers, it's going to make for a hectic season for sure.
I think so.
How long have we got?
10 minutes, mate.
Okay, I'm going to go and have a pee and find my laptop. Just as we started the race, I'm thinking, what am I going to look at the stream on? I don't even brought my laptop up. No, piss poor prepared, Matt.
Yes, well,
yes.
Be more prepared.
I'm going to be, right now.
Well done.
Back in a minute.
No worries. P4 and getting himself a little cheeky class win. Hey? Hello?
Hello? Fucking nobody there. Bastards going for a quick wee. Well, yeah, we're on free practice. That's why free practice 2. We're on the break. Hey, yo, my boy. Mwah. How's he doing? Yes. Ah! Oh no! No, don't get me! A smoosh and a boop. Yes, there he is. Mwah. Mwah. Yeah. That's your boop. I'll have another coffee. Bastard. There's no coffee, mate, anyway, is there? Yeah. Don't make me. Matt, you there? Look at you getting a cheeky class win. You're saying you was P4 for ages, you was. Who it overtaker? Oh, okay. Yeah. Fair enough. Oh, lovely. And you didn't repair it? Evening, Matt. Well done. Congratulations. After you bounced off the wall. I didn't see. Well, good race. Mike Matthews with a cheeky fucking class win there, wasn't he, for gold, eh? He goes before we come on here, Matt. He goes fucking oh, I'll be lucky to get a top 10 this season. Runs P4 for most at race and finishes 10th. Yeah, alright. Well done. Has he been shouting much yet, Matt? Oh, fair enough. He doesn't stop talking. It's like Tuesday night was nice and quiet, bar fucking Mara 1 and Mara 2, and it was nice and quiet. Well, I'm gonna say well done to the others, but yeah, good lads, keep it up. Rob Ramsell, what a god. Fucking top 15 beat Clarendon, did he, my mate, eh? Both quicker than Goudet as well, I noticed. Good stuff, good start. Good start. Yeah. Oh no, fuck's sake. Oh well. Good start. It was a good start. Who? Oh yeah, it's been messing up on the PlayStation as well. Took me forever to get the YouTube stream to go. Oh well. Well, either way, best luck for race 2 and good job for race 1. Well done. Well done, Ben. I'm saying well done. Evening, Patrick. Well done, Dan.
I say, I don't think Cloudham's going to be an happy chappy tonight. That's what I mean. I think he's going to be a bit more miserable tonight now. It was his own fault anyway. What, just by holding Sylph and everybody back? Ben, what happened to Overtaker when Mike pitted? Because Mike had his own moment. Because all of a sudden we saw Overtaker off, and he had Overtaker just his bonnet had so much damage to it. All right, fair enough. Yeah. 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 Well. Either way, best of luck for race 2, because we're back at Comms Box. We've got happy campers, Kelly.
Happy campers, why?
The Audio Sport crew seem happy.
Excellent. That's good to hear.
Quantum crew seem happy. And the Simplay crew seem happy. They're all happy campers. They're all pretty impressed with their jobs.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Long may that last, because it fucking won't.
I'll tell you now, they're happier than fucking Cloud9 with Jamal and Overtaker and possibly the others. Let's see what happens there. Oh, my day's free practice is done. Did anybody go out? Zampolini, Niemeyer and Sullivan?
Yeah, a couple of them went out, but nothing. It's free practice, isn't it? Not.
Yeah, but depending on how many tyres used in qualifying and free practice 1, you could be touch and go if you've gone out in this session, unless you've gone out on an old set.
Yeah.
You'd be touch and go for race 2, especially if you're going to change tyres.
Let's hope they thought that through. How many tyre sets they get? 10 still?
10. Yeah, 10.
Green light, green light.
Quali 2's underway.
Yep.
Oh, they're all flying out as well.
Who's the first one out? 515.
Williams.
Right.
Le Mans qualifying, isn't it? Hypercar.
It's on at the minute, isn't it?
Yeah, I was just on board with a Ferrari.
I think Aston Martin got pole in the GTs.
Oh, right, okay. I saw yesterday's on highlights, but that was only to the top 12, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Who's Nightbot?
Not a clue.
Today's commentators have so much more energy, better camera perspectives than yesterday. Okay.
Right, are we ready?
Yep.
5, 4. Welcome back then, ladies and gentlemen, to Simplay Motorsport as we get ready for the second qualifying session of the evening. What has been a fantastic and dramatic first race of the season. Long may this continue, Kelly, because I think it was some great racing in which, Tardock first ever platinum winner, Mike Matthews first ever gold winner. And this is, I just think this could be a fascinating, probably one of the better Pro Series.
Let's hope so. If we keep the numbers high throughout the season, not too many people drop out, because we do get a dropout. That's part and parcel of a season. Hopefully, look at them all. It's like Formula One. They're all lining up to try and find a space. I'm on board with Overtaker. I don't know who you're watching at the moment, but they're all slowing up towards the last chicane to try and get a space. So I think it's like F1 qualifying. This is.
Yep, I'm on all of them as well. I'm on, Williams as well. So we'll see what he can do. So he was the first driver out the pit lane. Now the 163 and the 818 have returned to the pit lane, and just look at all them yellow flags in the last sector. And Dan Davis, who's delayed a little bit in qualifying going out, I think, in fact, let's go down onto Dan Davis a second. We'll come back to Williams. Dan Davis, look, who's gone, I'll go out later and find myself a gap. Well, that's about to come to an abrupt end, because now he's slowing down. There's a new rule for this year. You can't overtake in the final sector. There's a bit of complaining about, especially in the GT4s with the short qualifying, about overtaking that final sector and ruining people's lap who was waiting to get a space. Well, if you look at this, Dan Davis, who created himself a lovely gap, has had to slow and wait to get away. And where's Brandon Williams? Well, he's coming to the hairpin before the last car's even started his flying lap. So the leader, as he's gone wide and deep, so probably ruined his lap, but the lead car on a flying lap's about to catch the last car who's yet to start his first flying lap.
This is going to be a constant problem, and it's going to be a constant problem all season. But hey, okay, well, that's the way it is, you know.
Yep.
That's racing.
I tell you what, I bet people are glad Brands Hatch isn't on the calendar, because that would be a problem. With how short Brands Hatch is by the time you've come round.
Or Red Bull.
Yeah, or Red Bull Ring for that matter. Yeah. As Clouden goes up into second place. I think it's going to be Zandvoort could be a problem. That's a quick circuit. That could be an issue.
Yes, that is a fast-moving circuit. So, that could be. Hungara Ring is difficult to find space. Not a hugely long lap either in that one.
Places like Monza could actually be a difficult one.
Should be good for the spectators.
Should be good for the spectators, yeah. But Kota, I think, could be the only track where traffic may not be an issue.
Yeah, it's such a long track, isn't it? Over a 2-minute lap, Kota. So, but it's. We'll find out. All these experiences, we'll find out. For one thing, it's going to be for you guys at home. It should be a great season to spectate. For us, it should be a great season to commentate. And those guys out there, there should be some great action. It's just all getting better and better around here, isn't it?
It is getting better and better around here, as well as what could be better than Le Mans this weekend. We've got qualifying happening at the moment.
Yeah.
You know, kind of like
there's a lot going on this weekend.
There's a lot happening this weekend. It's going to be interesting to keep our eyes on everything that is happening. Qualifying has come to an end. I think there's a few cars on a lap in that.
At Le Mans, not us.
At Le Mans, not at us. At Le Mans, not us. We've still got another 5 minutes left to go here, and I'm looking forward to seeing what will happen, because race 1 was anybody's game. I think this is also anybody's game. I don't think. You know, Hoopert's now on pole from Tardok with Silf and Carlos. They were the same top 4 as last time. Clouden 5th, Ken 6th, Ledger up to 7th. So he's already having a better qualifying. But again, you don't know who's got at the moment a full representative lap time on the board. Like Dan's 8th, Friedman's 15th. You know, you look down the bottom end of the grid, you've got Ben, Zampellini, Sullivan. Few of the Platinum drivers haven't set a lap time yet.
Yes, this is true, and we've got
Ben's just gone second. Whoa. So we speak about Ben. Ben's just got up into second place. The Honda is on pole position. The grass looks mighty fine while doing so.
Yeah.
And so may this continue.
Yeah, Ben tasting the rainbow. He is fully paid up with Audio Sport now. He's been showered in Skittles. As Dan, his teammate, goes faster, only by a little bit. So it's nip and tuck at the top. For top 3 are under a tenth for that top spot.
That is incredible.
Absolutely, it's going to be great. It really is going to be. It already is great. So as I said, Ben is fully paid up for now. I think we worked out 4 seasons. So, you know, 4 seasons worth of Skittles. You know. So he's got to bring it. He's got to bring the rainbow.
Yeah. Paul Williams saying if there is enough space left into the final sector, then there shouldn't be an issue. As Hooper splits Ben and Dan going into P number 4. Zampellini's back on the front row in that Aston Martin. We've got O'Reilly coming to finish another lap time, but look at the traffic. O'Reilly's got to get through. Sully was on the grass there to let O'Reilly through onto his lap. O'Reilly's got one of the Ferraris in front of him. Not sure who it is. Silf now moves up into there. That's 4 cars within a tenth of a second. And you know what? Carlos has just made that 5 cars within a tenth of a second. As he says, come on then, boys. And Tardok goes, you know what? I'm going to put 7/10 between the lot on you. Tardok has just put in the lap time of his life, I reckon. That is a heck of a lap.
Yeah, like 3/4 of a second. Hello, where did that come from? Is he sure he's brought the right car? Has he brought an LMP1 or something? Wow!
Car, yeah, that is impressive. I'm not gonna read Chris's comment out. I'll let you see it.
That's a good one. Go up a couple of comments. I've got to agree with Rob Smith and Chris, 2 pro commentators with the pro drivers. Best commentators, best drivers. I'll agree with that. I can live with that. Yeah,
I can live with that. Yeah, I'd rather be classed as a better commentator than driver by any stretch of the imagination.
I hope I'm a better commentator than I'm a driver, because I am rubbish at driving.
Overtaker's just shot up to 11th place at the moment. Zampellini's gone within 4 tenths of a second, so he's brought the gap down a little bit. Core 21's about to finish a lap. That is Hoffer out the Bentley this season.
How many of the drivers sat in their cars or sat in the pits and just saw Tardoc's lap and their heart just sunk? How many? Do you know it?
I reckon there's a few of them that sat in the pits and have maybe dropped the F-bomb in and not in a bad way, but in the you know what I mean, sort of thing. I think they've kind of gave it one of them as Tardoc's stationary on the circuit. He's caused a yellow flag. He's slowing down, waiting for a gap. Chris, I don't think you need a gap. I think you can just sit in the pits for the next 1 minute 30. I have to say, worst livery on the grid for Tardock and Silf.
I'm on board camera, so I'm not going to change it all round now.
It's blue and red. It's got Red Bull and Verstappen.com on the side.
Well, that's done it for you, isn't it? You know, so with the V word down the side of it.
Silf texted me a picture of it in the off season, and I'm sat there, and I went, oh, that's disgusting, and blah, blah, blah. And he went, oh, maybe I should call the team Simply Lovely, because obviously Max, when he wins a race, says Simply Lovely on the team radio.
I like that.
And I was nearly sick.
Yeah, no, that's good. Yeah, I like that. Simply Lovely. Brilliant. Of course, you're right. You're quite right about the livery, because the nicest livery on the grid, of course, is the Audio Sport team. So.
Again, I'm loving the fact that it's biased. It is up there in my top 5 this season.
Is it really? That's unlike you from a white-based car.
Yeah, but you know what? It's the top-down view. I saw the core of Williams and Kneebone last night. Williams.
Yeah.
With the black carbon on it, with the bit of white, the blue and the pink on Dan's, for example. On Ben's, just looks beautiful. Yeah. I think that bit of carbon just adds to it. Compared to Kneebone's McLaren that didn't have the carbon, and I didn't like it as much. So the Lamborghini Audio Sport car is in my top 5. Others,
there you go.
I like Overtaker's Cloud9 colours. I think Overtaker always does nice Ford Mustang ones. I'm liking the DeBont RRM Ferrari. I think that's nice. I am liking my favourite one is Snize. I want to see the Ford Mustang of Smith in that red, but I think that red is beautiful. Who's the others that's out there as well?
I haven't had a good look at them yet, and as I said, I tend to, as we're commentating, watch from bonnet cabs. We'll get to see them as we go.
Yeah, we will indeed.
Yeah.
Don't you think though? Don't you think that Matt Wright and Mike Matthews' cars resemble the McLaren F1 team? The orange, the grey, black, and a bit of light blue.
Again, I haven't had a good look, but yes, I do primarily agree. Yeah, the orange is... Oh, thank you. That's okay. Qualifying's over, and just seeing who's coming round and who's taking the flag, and Tardock looking like that's going to be a difficult one to beat, but Sam Polini, excuse me as I get the names right, Sam Polini, with a great effort there in third. O'Reilly getting that Honda right up there as well. Dan's done. Williams is done. Who's still on a lap then?
Rob Ramsell.
None of the top guys are. Ramsell, as you say. But most of them are done now, so it's looking like no one's going to... That's it, we are done. And it's Tardock with the pole with a very, very good lap, it must be said.
Yeah, and I think Tardock's looking for a clean sweep here today, because he's been on fire and looked pretty good value for his money. Got a pole in the week in GT4s as well, so did pretty well there. So, in fact, what did he get this week? So I can update that as we go. He got a pole position, so that's his third pole position at his circuit with a race win to go with it. I think that's a great effort from Tardock there, and we will go through the grid order in just a moment. Obviously, I'll input the results on the spreadsheet so that the spreadsheet is all correct and up to order. But Will Freeman up in 15th, bit better from Will, bit better from Overtaker this time around. It's Erkin Koglu, it's Clouden down in 25th that I think is 26th that I think is a surprise.
Oh dear, yeah, absolutely, because his one pace was really, really good. He put it way up, but not to be this time. And you say better from Overtaker in 12th. Yes, it is an improvement, but still 12th. This is the size of this grid, isn't it? And it's going to be, I think, to do well in this championship, it's going to be about, well, it's always about consistency, of course, but being pointsy, some days will be enough. Have we still got drop scores?
Drop scores are still in effect, yes. And actually, drop scores go from week 1 to week 11, but they won't reflect on the table until week 3.
Okay, for those of you who want to keep up to date with the stats, that's how that's going to work.
Basically, I'll let you know why. That's basically because, obviously, after week 2, we either drop in one or the other score. Whereas come week 3, there'll be 3 scores to drop. So we go in that approach with it. So the drop scores won't show on the table until week 3. So for next week, for Zandvoort race, it won't be a drop score table until after Zandvoort.
Yeah, I'm with you. If you're new to Simplay, then good evening. Where have you been for the past 5 years? The drop scores, we can explain a little bit better as we go on. There's a lot for us to get through this evening. Tardok not moving off the line. I hope he's just nodded off or something.
I think he's going now,
Yeah. He's got to make his way back to the grid, which isn't a problem. The car's ghost around the formation lap, so it's he can just whiz his way through and get back to the front. Not a problem. We've got a lot to get through, but if you are new to Simplay and first time watching, or maybe you joined us for the 24 and enjoyed what you saw and have come along, then welcome along. Take your shoes off, make yourself comfortable, because we've got a 70-minute race coming up. Just in case they're watching, good evening to my friends at the Kawasaki Centre, to Adam and to Freddie. Anybody else in the chat, please give us a comment in the chat. Just say hello, how you doing, whatever. We love to hear from you, and we like to have the interaction, because otherwise we end up by mid-season talking about pineapple on pizza and cheese on toast and so on and so forth. So keep your comments coming if you want to just talk about the brilliant racing on Simplay, or you want to talk about Formula 1 or touring car, which is our touring car being our favourite subject. We love touring car. Formula 1 probably our second favourite, but also WEC, Le Mans this weekend. Are you going to be watching? I'm certainly going to try and watch some of it. And anything motorsport related or food related. We quite like food related stuff, to be honest. We do go off on a tangent with that. So any of that, please do comment. Don't feel shy, don't feel embarrassed. We're all friends here, but don't say anything negative, because that's just rubbish.
It is indeed. Right, so now that I've got that done, I don't know why that's so. It's a BMW win on the statistics. Let's look at that. That's right. I don't know why there was a win. Either way, there's actually 3. Speaking about the Le Mans 24-hour, there's 3 24-hour races in 3 weeks. We've got Le Mans 24 this week. Yeah. Next week is the Nordschleife 24, real life, as well as obviously so we've got Le Mans and Canada F1 this week. We've got Nordschleife 24 in the real world in Alton Park the week after. And the week after that, we've got the Sport 24-hour for the GT's World Challenge as well. So 3. Can you imagine if you're one of the GT drivers doing all 3? That's just crazy.
That's crazy. Yeah. Absolutely. But we're lining up on the grid here, Matt. We're ready to go.
We are ready to go. Round 2 of the season. It's about to be green and go. DJ Phil's mentioning Christmas in the chat. We'll get to that one in a few moments' time. But we are green and go for the second race of the season. It's a good start from the front 2. Dan Davis and Williams on that third row look like they've got a pretty good start as they tried to close up on Zampolini and on O'Reilly. Drop further down the grid. Looks relatively clean this time through the order, Kelly. No yellow flags flying as we tumble down the grid. Everybody through. Nice and clean, and it's Sylph who
we've got one.
Nope.
Carlos.
There we go.
Carlos off, I think. Yeah.
Carlos has gone around then, and I believe it is out of Tardok who leads away from Sylph, and it is. It's Zampolini. It's actually Dan coming under pressure from Hoopert at the moment.
There was a few on the grass, but no harm done as they come out of that. They exited that tricky turn 2 or 3. They got up on the grass there. So, I'm on board with Sambini. I think I don't know who the hell I'm on board with now. To be fair, I might be Overtaker actually. Yeah, Overtaker now, and it's all close in the midfield as Overtaker tries to go round the outside of the chicane on McGowan. McGowan has under traction, has lost it. He's gone off stage left, and a few people just dropping it, but no serious casualties from what I can see at the moment.
Yeah, yellow flag down the pack. There's a couple just popping up at the bottom end of the field as McGowan looking, Ben looking out to the outside of McGowan here at the hairpin. Dan did lose out to Hooper at the chicane then. So Dan drops down another position, and Ben and McGowan still going side by side at it. Down in towards the final chicane they come. Ben up the inside now. Job done for Ben. In the background, that's Matt Wright and Meyer having a bit of a scrap with Mike Matthews and Will Friedman side by side as well, with Erkin Koglu waiting in the wings. Millington's up to 10th with Tobias Hoffer as well. Matt Wright looking every way he can to get past out of Meyer at the moment. Mike Matthews just gone right around the outside of turn one of Will Friedman, drops a couple of wheels into the ass. That's cost him all momentum, and Erkin Koglu might fancy his chance now as Hibbs is on the back of this train with Millington as well. Just dropping down the order once again, John Gooday in the fight with that of Heyer, with Jamal Clouden 26th. Bit of rear end damage on Clouden's car. Harris is there with Cal Seth and Van Zyl. Cairns down the order, Sullivan from Lino. Skunky's down to 33rd with front end damage, and then Snye back of the grid, body bouncing away like a madman yet again. But at the front of the pack, it's Tardock from Sill, from O'Reilly, who is really the train, but from Zampolini, Williams, Hoopert and Dan Davis just getting onto the back of that train.
Carlos not a million miles away off the back of that as well, and overtaken for that matter. It's still very close in the top 10 at least. We're only in the first couple of laps. We've got an hour and 7 minutes to go, so it's a long race. Pit window opens for 1 hour, not the small pit window that we used to have. It's a 1 hour pit window. Opens strategy up much more to what these guys want to do if they get stuck in traffic. We got some argy-bargy up towards Williams, O'Reilly and Zampini all in a bit of a scrap there at the moment. So the top, the second, third, fourth, fifth, all in a scrap at the moment. Where's Dan in all this? He's got a watching brief on what these lot are doing as they come 3 wide into turn 2. It's a very weird corner, turn 2, fast in, slow right down, and then hard on the exit, as O'Reilly is the one, Hooper is the one who's missing out as he drops back, as he goes side by side with Sampini into turn 3, was easy to run out onto the grass as they come into the chicane. That's going to sort them out.
Dan's got to wait in, watching the wings as Hooper gets a little squirry on the grass there. I think it was a little naughty from Zampolini. It looked like Zampolini come across him a little bit, almost as if it was like a chop, if you will. Now he tries to defend. No, not quite a duffin. It was less aggressive, I'd say, than a duffin chop.
He left his headlights on.
Oh, mate, he was a bit more. Just a bit of it like what mine was, just full bang.
Like full send, one side of the track to the other, 100%. Left to right, wall.
But I noticed here as well, coming up and over the brow of the hill before the Gilles Villeneuve chicane, that Hooper had to get on the brakes a little bit. Looks like Zampolini was just moving around a bit there.
Yeah.
So going to have to be a bit careful on that. Dan's now coming under pressure from Carlos. It's bringing overtake Ledger and Ben Rook, who's got fastest lap of the race at the moment. Anyway, after one flying lap, should I say. I assume that may go the way of Tardock in a moment, because Ben's in this very much train behind that of the Honda. Behind that of the Mercedes now, because Williams has passed O'Reilly.
Yep, so third down to 10th, nose to tail as they come round into complete, what is lap 3, possibly? Start at lap 3, so all very close company, all the way down to Ben Rook at the moment, and then you got a little gap back from Ben Rook then, but still good close racing. We'll see how long this lasts. This won't last for an hour.
Oh, there's cars off. There's absolute chaos, and I think it involves Hibbs. While I was down watching the Millington, the Ramsell Clouden Hoffer sort of fight, Ramsell's just come on in that battle. Who else? Hoffer was off. I think Hibbs was involved as well. Snye, there's Skunky, there's Lino, Sullivan, Van Zyl. I'm sure Hibbs was involved in that as well. I can't see Hibbs' name to press on him at the moment. There he is. He's tumbling down the order. Yeah, Hibbs was involved. He's at the back of the pack. So not sure what happened there. But back to that front of the pack train. Look, it's Tardock and Sylph fighting each other. Then it's Williams, who he's now the leader of this train, of O'Reilly, Zampolini, Hooper, Davis, Carlos, overtake a Ledger, Ben Rook, and you know what? De Bont's nearly with him. From 3rd to 12th, it is probably separated by not a lot, because it is a huge train. 3.2 seconds Williams to Sylph, and then it's less than a second, it's less than half a second between every driver back from there.
Absolutely, and Sil's giving a hard time to Tardok, their teammates, but it's the number one. Wants that number one spot back again. He's giving Tardok a hard time. Lots of flashes of lights. Tardok goes a bit wide into turn one. We got quite the scrap on for first place, but we've also got this huge train which could end up in chaos at some point soon.
Yeah, Williams looks like he's just started going. What we're in at 14. Number 14, that's
Carlos
Ben Rook. Ben Rook's around.
Ben Rook's around. Carlos got up onto the curb and looked like he was going to lose it. That's a disaster for Ben. He's tumbling down the order. He's got a lot to do now from there. So he's the first one to drop off the back of this train. And say Carlos was a bit squirrely into turn two. Dan has dropped back off Hooper a little bit, and Overtaker trying to look a way round Carlos as well. So Ledger with a watching brief just behind these guys. Probably the best place to be at the moment, Patrick. Going slowly. Sam Beanie going slowly. Someone else.
Hoopert as well. Hoopert's on the outside of the chicane. I've just noticed this. So if them two come together, that's gave Dan an extra. In fact, it's gave a lot of drivers an extra couple of positions here. Dan is has got Carlos. Is that Carlos? Yes, it is.
Yep.
Right on the back of him. So Dan's under immense pressure here. Two drivers pitted. That of Erkin Koglu and Hoffer are into the pit lane early, and I can tell you, Kerry, I'm not going to name names, but there is such a difference on fuel loads and strategies at the moment. This is going to be an interesting watch, especially with the track temp at 30 degrees. It could be interesting to see if anybody takes tyres or not. The 302 has had a moment. That is skunky down the order. But O'Reilly and Williams pulled away a little bit. Dan's had a bit of a bad lap there because he had Carlos and Overtaker breathing down his neck.
Absolutely, and remembering this pit window is now an hour long. It opens up strategy, and the race being that bit longer, I think there's only the Ferraris that can do this on a full tank. And I do think it's been a lift and coast they can make it.
No, they can do it. That's what it was alleged to believe, but there is other cars that can do it as well.
Right, so
around here anyway.
Yeah, for most of the field, they're going to have to think about. They have to put at least 1 litre of fuel in anyway. That's mandatory. But they are going to have to think of strategy. That's why this has been changed for this season. We've got an hour and 10 minutes. It's not just a random kind of let's add 10 minutes to it. There is an idea behind it, and that is to open up on strategy to give these guys different things to think about: fuel loads, tyres, all the rest of it.
Sullivan and Skunky into the pit lane. Then there's DeBont looking to chase down that of Patrick Ledger, who is also on the back of Overtaker. Ledger just outbraking himself a little bit there. Dan's just started to creep away, looking in the foreground. We've got just behind these, we've got Zampolini's ahead of Hoopert there then, so not sure what happened at the chicane. Them two nearly came to blows with that little chop a moment earlier on in the race. So Zampolini and Hoopert going back at it. McGowan with Meyer, Friedman, Matt Wright, Mike Matthews. We've got a bit of a gap back to Millington in 17th from Cardno. Then it's hey-ho, nice looking livery on that, to be fair. Cloudon's up to 20th after a few drivers have pitted, and he's got past a few. There's Rob Ramsell. John Gooday has been over. In fact, who is that in between John Gooday and Ramsell? That is, I think that's the Mercedes of Hoffer.
Yeah, Hoffer in the middle there.
Hoffer's been in the pit, so Hoffer's a lap down on these lot. He's been into the pit lane. Really, John will be getting quite frustrated at this because he'll be wanting Hoffer to be out the way, and Hoffer's wide at turn 2 into now turn 3, and that should allow John Gooday, should allow Kalsef, and more than likely Van Sil, as Hoffer just has a little wiggle, and there goes Kalsef, and I assume Van Sil's now going to follow suit on the way down to the chicane.
Yes, indeed. And just to remind everyone at home, Matt, what is the rules about blue flags?
Normal blue flag rule. You have 3 corners as Van Zyl there nearly into the back of Kalsef. Across the chicane he goes. Lost a lot of momentum. Here comes Cairns to try and get past him. Hoffer has unlapped himself from Van Zyl. It's 3 corners, but obviously them 3 corners will be evaluated. The chicane is pretty much classed as 1 because you can't really get out of the middle of a chicane. And the second chicane is classed as 1, even though it's a 3-parter. So, yeah, realistically, it's 3 proper corners. Yellow flag.
So you have to yield.
You have to yield the time, within 3 corners. So obviously, turn 1, 2, 3, 4. They're 4 normal corners. 5 and 6 is a chicane, so that'll be treated as 1. Turn 8 is the bend over this. Turn 7 is the bend over the crest. 8, 9, 10 is the second chicane. That's classed as 1. And then this last chicane as well is classed as 1 because you just can't move out the way on a chicane as Van Zyl loses the rear, and that's allowed Cairns and Harris to get through with Will Freeman into the pits. He was one of the yellow flags, and into the pits he comes.
Yeah, indeed. The train that was going on behind Williams is now down to realistically 3 cars as Carlos has dropped off the back a little bit now of Dan, but Dan's still close to the back of O'Reilly and on the back of Williams. Williams holding these guys up, doing a great job of defending here. And when do you start thinking about strategy to get you out of traffic, Matt?
I think it depends on. I think it depends on the strategy you've gone, Kelly.
Yeah, this is it. What, how much fuel you've already put in?
I'm not going to name names on who's done what, but
yeah, no.
It's going to fully depend on what you've fueled. Whether you've gone short and long, whether you're going long short, a sort of mid-race thing, kind of like a quarter distance into the race, then do 3/4 at the end, or vice versa. I think it's just going to depend on what your strategy and plan is, and I think that's how the race is going to pan out and be. What I can say is there is such a variety out there that it is just incredible to see this variety. And also, I don't think this is Carlos dropping off the back of Dan. I think that was Dan pulling away from Carlos onto the back of Williams and O'Reilly. And I think now that Dan is stuck on the back of that Honda and Mercedes, he's Carlos now losing time, and that's what's allowed Carlos to gain back up.
Yeah, I'm on board with Carlos at the moment. So, yes, he's now drawn these 3 back in again. So I think you're probably exactly right with that one. Overtaker now. Let's see if Overtaker now joins the party, because he's just a little bit behind. Is he going to be able to cruise up behind? And Ledger, when we get the train going again, and see who blinks first. And who decided.
Oh, had a look on O'Reilly. Sorry, Kelly. Dan had a look on O'Reilly there.
It's tricky into that chicane, isn't it?
Very.
To do it cleanly.
I think if you're going to be doing it, you've got to be fully alongside up the inside. I don't think you can do it around the outside. You've got to be fully on the inside of that chicane, fully side by side, not bumper to bumper. I think you've got to fully be there to be at least warranted the room. And I think that's just good racecraft from Dan.
I think one of the best overtaking opportunities is coming up here now with this corner. If we're still on board with Dan or whatever, this corner now. I think this is a good. If you can get a run out of the chicane and get close enough, that's a good spot to have a dive down the inside.
What? I'm going to disagree with you. I think turn 2 is a better overtaking opportunity. If you get the run out of this final chicane, as we're still on board with O'Reilly at the moment, if you get the run out of here, not only does it open up turn 1 for a chance, but you can really set them up inside or outside at turn 1. And I managed to do at Silf, I think it was on the outside of turn 1 in race 2 on Tuesday night, because if you can keep the momentum around that outside line and keep within that bumper to bumper, you then have the inside line for turn 2. So I think sort of the stretch from turn 1 to turn 2 out the final chicane, I think that's your best chance.
Okay, well, I mean, we know this much. It's difficult which either way. I think it's tricky on the traction out of 2. You've got to have really good traction. You've got to cut to the inside and then have really good traction to get the job done before you get to 3. Because if you run wrongly in 3, if you have the wrong line through 3, it's very easy to end up on the grass on the left hand side.
Well, someone who's had the correct line through turn 3 was Jamal Clouden, who just has a bit of hip and shoulder there with Patrick. With Cardno went onto the grass. Clouden was warming the tyres up a little bit. Not sure what that weaving was there. But Clouden had the right line through 3, had the inside for 4 and through. He went Cardno, then it's just lost out to Heyo and taps Heyo round into the path of Rob Ramsell, who's got major damage in the wall. And that's allowed a whole host of cars. Goudet, Kelseth, Keynes, Harris. And I think Ben Rook as well has got through, as many more. And Rob Ramsell's had to return to the pit lane. He can't get going.
Yeah, that went very badly, didn't it? And very quickly. One little incident made a whole load of trouble, which is wasn't great. We've now got Overtaker has now joined the party, as I predicted he would. He's pulled up. He has, yes. So is De Bont, and now Patrick Ledger isn't a long way off this either. Patrick's been overtaken by De Bont at some point, but they're all just cruising up to the back of Williams, and he's still keeping it out there, just keeping that Merc nice and wide and holding him up. Riley is all over him like a cheap suit, but if you haven't got that extra grunt, you're not going to get past, not cleanly.
I think the Honda's good. In sections around this circuit, I don't think it's suiting the whole track. That sector 1 would suit the Honda, the way the corners are. I think traction out the chicanes is where the Honda's probably going to struggle compared to that Mercedes and that Lamborghini, if I'm going to be honest with you. Although, did you see Alton Park in the real world in British GT speaking Honda? It got 3rd place, nearly 2nd.
Yeah. Nearly for third place, nearly second.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, well, that's an improvement for the Honda, isn't it?
It helps that most of the field was running the wet tyre on a drying surface, and the Honda pulled a great strategy and went on the dry tyre. So.
Well, there we go. I look forward to being at Orton and seeing all the grass cut really nicely from the Honda.
And I've said nothing wrong to you tonight. I don't really think we deserve
no,
this.
I know, but it's not like it's not going to happen, is it? Do you know what I mean? It's not like you're going to go the whole season not mentioning Ginster's rubbish. Complete rubbish. Been doing this with you for 5 years. You've never talked so much rubbish before. Of course you're going to mention it. You can't leave anything alone. GG5.
See, I'm not even going there. I'm not going to rise to this.
We'll see. We'll see.
We're down with one of the closest fights on the circuit as Myers into the pits. That is that of Calseth on the back of John Gooday. Coming through the final chicane now. Clouden's up to 16th after a few pit stops and making overtake. Sorry, mate. Yeah, Overtaker's got in front of Carlos as well, and Dan now having a crack here. O'Reilly, he's gone to the outside. He's going to try it around the outside. He's got him done. That's the way to do it. I think O'Reilly went a bit deep, to be honest. Lost momentum. The way that's O'Reilly's tapped him round. O'Reilly's tapped him backwards.
Oh my God!
And Dan rolls the car back, holds on to the brakes. Got to find a space to turn it round, and he does so safely now on the grass. I think you was right there, Kerry. I think O'Reilly may have dropped a wheel on the gravel, but I tell you what, that's caused chaos behind, because O'Reilly tapping down has allowed Overtaker and Carlos and De Bont and nearly Zampolini through as well, and also De Bont got ahead of Carlos out of all of that, and Zampolini's now going to try and look for a move on the back of O'Reilly. So yeah, I think O'Reilly dropped a wheel on the gravel. That's how Dan got past him, because there's no way. Dan's been struggling to get alongside O'Reilly, never mind fully past him on that short straight, because it is only a short run, and that's the thing. But O'Reilly there tapped Dan around at the first chicane. I assume that one will be in the steward's room.
I was going to say, I'm sure the stewards will be using their notepad for that one, because it looked like they got together in the chicane. Benefit, as you said, De Bont, Carlos and Overtaker all go forward, and it took a bit of pressure off Williams just for a minute. Long way to go, mine. Still got 51 minutes to go, so still a long way to go. Although the pace of these guys, I think once you've been tumbled down the order, it's going to be very difficult to get
Dan's
back up
to get back top 7, if I'm going to be brutally honest with you.
I probably agree, mate. Yeah,
Swindle Mac in the chat saying, I'm new at watching you guys, but can appreciate your position. What do you mean by your position? Either way, welcome. We love having you here.
I'm sitting up
right.
looking at the screen.
Scott Unsworth said that I keep watching back with Ramsel. The Lambo was always going to make the move to the right for the overtake. Either he was going to rear end the Lambo or get caught up in the collision. And Ian Best saying tyres are not needed, Duff. And I need to apologise to Ian Best, because he had a very quick pit stop last night, and I went and asked if he'd changed tyres. He told me no, and then panicked and then went into the wall. So I need to apologise for spooking Bestie out a little bit.
Your strategies get worse, Matt. They really
he wasn't in my party with us. I was helping Argent and Monkey. Told them to change tyres, because tyres are, I think tyres are potentially the way to go.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
You've got to be a tyre whistle. 70 minutes is a long way on one set of tyres.
It is. I'm going to struggle with this
on a track that is 30 degrees.
Yeah. 30 degrees. Colder track.
I'd say the way you lean on these tyres, especially in that first sector, you lean on these tyres quite a bit. I think it's as O'Reilly's going up the inside of Carlos, and now let's see if Carlos can hang it around the outside. No, has a little wiggle. This could allow Zampolini through. Oh, Zampolini's rear-ended O'Reilly. Carlos has got back through, and Zampolini has rear-ended O'Reilly. Through he goes, as does Hoopert. And O'Reilly now left wounded. And similar to the Dan one, really, just kind of drove into the back of him.
Yes, indeed. I think we're going to have a lot of these incidents, Matt. A lot of, he hit me incidents, through up and down the season, to be honest. Going back to tyres, do you think a more flowy circuit is going to Hungaroring?
I think there'll be tyres there for sure.
Yeah, there's a lot of change of direction and corner after corner after corner.
Look at the first sector here. Look at the first sector, and in fact we're on board with Clouden. Look at this section after Clouden. How much wear do you think and lean you're putting on these tyres through these bits here where you're leaning on them coming through the fast bend? I think that's just going to scrub the tyres more, and just 30 degrees track temp. I think you'd be mad not to in these kind of conditions.
Yeah.
You know, we go into tracks like COTA, Texas, in 3 weeks' time, which is what, back end of June, beginning of July. It's going to be scorching there, absolutely scorching.
Yeah. Tyres are going to be like mush. They're just going to turn to liquid. Yeah, absolutely. So Williams still holding his own. Overtaker's not catching up with him, and we've only a few guys have done their pit stop, not many. None of the front runners, that's for certain sure. O'Reilly's taken a bit of a battering, is now down to kind of 9th place. Who's moving forward here? I think Mike's gone up a couple of places, moving forward. Still Clouden 15th, 10 places from where he started. So I tell a lie now. Overtaker is right on the back of Williams as they come into the chicane, the second chicane on the back end of the track, and Overtaker has pulled right up behind Williams now.
Took the bump with him as well.
Yeah, De Bont right in there as well. I'm on board with De Bont so I can watch Overtaker. Only sole remaining forward in
no, Rob Smith's gone the forward, but he's just not here tonight.
He's just not here, so behave.
Sorry.
So the only Ford on the grid tonight being Overtaker. After all its success last year, I was expecting to see loads of Mustangs this year, but obviously they know something I don't.
Is there any chance that these commentators will commentate Pro-Am? Sadly, Nightbot,
no.
Rob Smith, Matt has a young baby, so he can't do 2 nights, unfortunately. Yeah, and it's also I commentate from home as a job, so it's not just these 2 nights for sim play; it's other nights on other platforms. So it's just
I only have my services for the elite.
And also, you know, at the moment, until my studio is set up, you know, my partner and baby are having to just be sat in the bedroom for the time being, so it's just not feasible at the moment.
And we give the other commentators a chance. I know we're brilliant, but they're not half bad either. So let them get on with it. And I'm going to do some racing at some point in the Pro-Am. So
Chris in the chat said Ben's just got hit. Well, Ben's just come into the pit lane. Will Friedman is the lead pit runner, and Will Friedman will now pass that of Ben Ruck. Where's Meyer? Meyer will also pass Ben Ruck. So Ben's second race not going the way he'd have wanted it to. Where's Erkin Koglu? He's into the final chicane. Where's Hoffer? Hoffer's only at turn 1, so Ben will possibly lose that to Erkin Koglu, and no more than that, because Hoffer is coming down to turns 5 and 6 at the first chicane now. But if we go back to that Overtaker Williams scrap, Williams has been the trolley train at the moment. Yep.
Defending KLF-esque. Overtaker not doing it, not overtaking. He's struggling. He's getting it. We get all squirrely out of the last chicane on traction. That's not going to help his course. But he's looking left. He's looking right. He can't find a way through right at the moment. He's Williams doing a cracking job of defending here in that Mercedes.
Ooh, big wiggle from Carlos in the background. Zampolini to the outside of him, coming in towards turn 2 now, which merges into turn 3. De Bont's also having a look up the inside of that of Overtaker. Tucks back in, pulls back out now, does De Bont, and tucks back in yet again. We'll wait to do that one on another day. But yeah, a few battles starting to develop out there on the circuit at the moment. And O'Reilly's not too far behind, you know. Here comes Zampolini into the first chicane, up the inside of Carlos. He's alongside as per the rules and regs. Pushes then Carlos over the chicane. I feel that Carlos gave him the room at the first part, and I don't think that room was respected on the second part there. De Bont's lost a lot of time through the first chicane.
Yeah,
I think there could be a few tickets going in tonight.
You don't think so? You don't say. I'm glad I'm not one of the stewards, and I'm not on the stewarding team, because it's going to be a busy season for all categories, to be honest. Yeah, De Bont went a bit deep on the exit one of the corners, which dropped him back a bit, but he quite quickly came back up onto the back of Overtaker, and Carlos is joining this party, and Hooper, as we know, is right there.
Just checking Mike Matthews coming out the pit lane. Myers just ran wide onto the grass, but it was very close for Mike coming out to Myers. Mike stays ahead of Meyer there then. So Mike net second in terms of pit runners, but we know that's obviously not the case because the front two are just well out in front. Carlos then on the back of Zampolini here with Hooper with a watching brief. O'Reilly gaining on them too as well. Bit of a gap. Zampolini back to De Bont, who are teammates this season, let's not forget.
Well, Hooper was very close to the pit wall there and got a bit squirrely out of one as well. He seems like he's fighting that car reasonably hard. In the BMW this year, he's one of the guys who binned off the Mustang, is now running the BMW, another big, powerful car. Dicing with death right along the pit wall he was.
Zampolini's got a run on De Bont on the outside. These two are teammates. De Bont lets him go and tucks back in, but that kind of chops the nose of Carlos off as well. There is some very, very... I'm not going to say dodgy, but, sort of interesting driving. Questionable. There's the word I was looking for.
Great word. I've used it regularly. Yeah. I've used it regularly. Sometimes about you, Matthew.
You used it. That and the different shot was mentioned at the Hockenheim ring on Project Cars 2 when me and Amplava was having our fierce
that was a great
battle.
season.
Carlos to the outside of De Bont at the hairpin. That'll be a tough job to get it done out there. And I think, and what is that? Was that Zampolini who spun overtake around? Because Zampolini's now slow and he's now 3 wide with his teammate De Bont as Carlos defends the inside and moves back across. And now Hoopert's up the inside of Zampolini. And I tell you what, and now Zampolini's nudged out of Hoopert out wide. Now Harris is side by side with De Bont. 2 by 2, there you go. It's not for Noah's Ark. It's for right of turn 1. O'Reilly fancies this to be 3 wide into turn 1 with his teammate Hoopert. It's RRM versus Yin Yang. No, it is Yin Yang. No, that's Dapper Racing. And losing touch of who's who. Yin Yang are the two in front of them. Hoopert here has got Zampolini coming back on the inside of him in towards turn 4. There you go. And that of Team RRM and Dapper Racing still side by side. They go through 4. This will give Hoopert the run on that inside line in towards that chicane. No, Zampolini's got it done. Now O'Reilly fancies a look at his teammate and can't do it.
Oh, that was the funniest thing. I'm sorry. I know we're professionals, but that sounded like Hoopert gets a bit squiggly. O'Reilly's going down the inside. He's going to have that one done. It was sounding like you were ordering from a Chinese takeaway on speed then. It was absolutely brilliant. I don't know what you were on about, but it was incredibly funny.
Well, there we go.
Good. It's good to be back.
It's so good to be back. It's great to be back with you as well, Kelly. As O'Reilly here just dropped a wheel on the dirt. I had a bit of a wiggle coming through that corner. Yin Yang, RRM, Dapper. It was everybody's everywhere, Having number 19, a 25 and a 63, thank you very much.
Yeah, and with prawn crackers, please.
Prawn crackers, please.
Oh my God.
Down the order to 17th and 18th.
In the pit's got a couple of guys. De Bont's gone in, Ledger's gone in. What happened to my old friend Overtaker? He's gone way back now, but he continues on.
He got spun around, didn't he, by Yin Yang and Ting Tong and whatever the names was. I can't remember. It was Zampolini who spun him around, but...
And Fu Manchu and
do you know what? I mean, I kind of missed 13 cars on the grid. There's too much to talk about.
Oh dear, but one way or another, if it's 13 cars or 35 cars, we still end up talking about food one way or another.
One way or another, 100% we do. We're down with Heyo on the back of Goudet. Goudet trying to chase down Cardno as well as a few drivers have pitted. And we've got Van Zyl on the back of Lino in the background. Friedman still your net leader of the pit runners. Rob Ramsell back out on track yet to his pit stop. Obviously he returns to the garage. Will Friedman's jumped Dan Davis in the pits.
Has he? Right, okay. I'm just looking down there. I'm trying to get a grip of now who's where, and because you've got so many cars to look at. As you say, Will Friedman. I mean, Will Friedman and Dan Davis had some good scraps last season, both running a Porsche. They were both reasonably evenly matched in that Porsche. So I expect to see them close together throughout the season, to be honest. Both obviously Dan, multiple champion, and Will Friedman, a very decent racer. So I expect to see them in close company. We're waiting for everyone to do their pit stops now. There's no rush. There's 34 minutes left of pit window. But once all the pit stops are done, then it will finally iron out, and we'll see who's where and who's done what. A couple of guys have been spun, and Ben had an early spin and has had to try and do his best to get back up. Clouden started. Clouden now in 11th, but hasn't pitted yet. Started very way back. Both Dan Davis and Overtaker both been spun round. O'Reilly's had his incidents. So I think the only person who's had a clean run is the MSA boys at the moment, and they're still out in front. We forgot to speak about Tarnock. He's coming up to lap somebody, and Silth is only 2.5 seconds there, still behind. Quite a way back then. I haven't got the numbers on my screen. Quite a way back then to Williams, who's still holding his own, Matt, isn't he?
Yeah,
in third place at the moment, but still, as I said, still doing a cracking job of holding on to that position and keeping his nose clean, while all else behind him aren't.
And it's interesting to see how many of the teams are actually close with each other. It's MSA from Yin Yang. Team RM, they are 5th and down the order, because I think the other one's pitted, so I can't see the other one. Then it's Dapper and Dapper. Team GBR of McGowan. Skunky's pitted, I do believe, so he's down the order as well. But then you've got Simplay, Cloud9, Quantum, Full Send, AS, Greasy, and then Heyo, who's on his own. Paul Williams wants to Singapore chow mein. Rob Smith's already had his Chinese, and John Goody's just got past Cardinal.
Yeah, I'm lucky enough to have a Chinese takeaway only about 5 doors down from where I live, which is absolutely epic. Well, actually, it's not, cost me a fortune. So,
the temptation.
Yeah, it is all about temptation, but they actually shut at 9 o'clock, so I've had it. So,
there we go.
You know, yeah.
Zampolini's now onto the back of Carlos. Williams has now got a bit of breathing space. And just to put into reference, Tordock's at the second chicane. Williams P3 has only just exited turn 4. So
I think he's about 19 seconds I've got behind.
That's 19 seconds to Sylph. As Zampolini to the outside of Carlos, kind of just turns in on Carlos, cuts the second chicane. That's surely got to be a yielded position there, and hasn't.
I think Zam's name's going to come up a bit in the stewards' room this week.
Oh, Carlos has tapped him round.
Tapped him. Yeah. He's tapped him round.
Yeah.
Was that a bit Verstappen?
I'd say so. It did look a bit of a retaliation late on the brakes. Less Verstappen, more Jason Plato, I think that one. Used the car in front to make the apex of the corner kind of tactic.
Surely Jason would never do that. And good evening, Jason. I know he tunes in regularly. If only he did, he'd probably come round and kill us or send us a solicitor's letter.
I've got more Jason merch than Matt Neal merch, so I'm his biggest fan, you know what I mean? So that's just the way it goes. As we're watching Matt Wright on the back of McGowan. Matt Wright, the current leader of the gold categories, which would mean both Simplay racing drivers would have taken a gold win tonight, race 1 and race 2, and Zampolini's there in ninth place. Look, a long way to go. Still, you got to think, Kelly, that extra 10 minutes is just it's just going to be fascinating, I think, this season, because last night Monkey Boy had a spin lap 1, and it's like, dude, you're all right, because 10 minutes, last season it was a 60-minute race. This extra 10 minutes just gives you that extra bit of time to make up these positions. That's exactly what I think is going to happen. You've got 10 minutes extra to make up the places.
I think so, to a point. I think again it's going to be, we've now got what are we, half distance, and we've got the MSA boys away in the distance, and they're not going to be caught unless they have a problem. Who's this coming round the outside of O'Reilly? That would be Hooper. Went right round the outside before they got to the chicane, and he's got the job done. Yes, he has. Nice move from Hooper there.
There we go.
Must have got traction. I was on board with O'Reilly, and then all of a sudden I saw this BMW come up from the side. O'Reilly hasn't given it up. He has looked to the outside, but I think he's going to get the job done. You'll have to wait for another moment on that one, my friend.
Well, I'm watching the Matt Wright Ian McGowan fight, and they've got Zampolini now on the back of them too, so going to be interesting to see what happens here. Obviously, all these guys still, the top 20 still to pit, and I believe Rob Ramsell's still to pit down in last place, but he returned to the pits. Matt Wright wants none of it. He's gone into the pit lane.
Yeah, might be a smart move at this point. As I say, we're half distance. I think if you're a front runner and you have a spin early doors, you're still going to struggle to get to the, because such is the pace. Yes. That's the problem. Such is the pace. It isn't.
I wondered why Friedman had jumped down, but it makes sense, doesn't it? Dan had that moment because O'Reilly spun him around. And
that it's going to be really frustrating when you get spun around, because it's going to be so difficult to come back. But I mean, this is part of the modern sim play era. When we were back on Project, it was easier to catch up a distance, especially when damage was so incredibly easy to get, and the cars. Hooper bounced across the chicane. O'Reilly's going to have a look down the inside now. Is he going to make it stick? This is exactly where he got done last time, but he's got it done, has he? I don't know. No, yes, he has. O'Reilly has got it done. And that all started with Hooper bouncing across the chicane. You get that chicane wrong, Matt, and balances the car terribly, doesn't it? And again, it was worse on Project. You did that chicane wrong on project, and you were in the wall as quick as you like. But it's a little better on ACC. But it's still easy to unsettle the car and someone get a run on you, which
Dips,
exactly happened.
Dips in that middle part of the chicane. I think that's the bit that catches a few people out. Right, the running order. We've just under half this race to go. It's Tordock from Silk with Williams third. Then it's Carlos with O'Reilly and Hooper fifth and sixth. Zampolini's back up to seventh from McGowan. Then Overtaker. Clouden is into the pit lane. It is Millington P11 with that of Calsef 12th. John Gooday up to 13th. Cardno 14th from Hayho. Then it's Cairns, Van Zyl, Lino and Snai. They are the last of the pit runners on circuit, although Clouden and Millington into the pits now. Then it's Will Freeman with Dan Davis, Matt Wright, Meyer, Mike Matthews, DeBont, Erkinkoglu, Patrick Ledger, Ben Rook down in 28th. He's had a couple of moments tonight. We saw one spin and then we heard Chris in the chat say he got hit. Harris 29th. Then it's Hibbs, Hoffert, Skunky, Ramsell down in 33rd, left to pit. I thought we had 34 runners, which means we've lost a driver.
And it'll probably take us 10 minutes to work out that is with a grid this size.
I think we've lost Sully.
I think what's going to be key this season is going to be qualifying, because Tardock and Silk have drove away into the distance, and I mean I don't think they've got. I think Williams holding people up for as long as he did, absolutely rightly, has given the MSA boys a chance to stretch their legs. I think being in the mid-pack this season is going to be very treacherous.
Yeah, I'd agree with that one. I think it's going to be interesting, and then
keeping your nose clean is going to be vital, and we both know what that's like. It doesn't, some of it is just blind luck. You know, sometimes you just can't avoid what's coming at you.
100%.
Yeah. So
with you more, Kelly. I think it's going to be about, when we get to tracks like Kota, which are a bit bigger as well and a bit wider. Zolder's not exactly the widest circuit. It narrows up as you come into that first chicane, doesn't it? And I don't think that massively helps a lot of people and drivers in particular.
Okay, I've just been kicked from the session. Hope that's not a problem developing for everyone.
Well, hopefully not, so we'll let you get back in. But
Good.
Going to go down, back up to Carlos in P number 4, who is just been handed a drink there, and there's a baby feeding on the booby next to me. So there we go.
That's something you don't hear Martin Brundle say, isn't it?
How many women walk in his commentary box with a baby on the boob? That's the question. None.
Well, that's probably not something that we know, but yeah, I wouldn't have said it's very many.
Yeah.
That's for certain.
Williams is coming under pressure from his teammates, Carlos and O'Reilly, Hooper's not a million miles away. And then I'm just noticing that Zampolini is pitted. So did Zampolini jump Will Freeman? No, he did not. Did he jump Dan Davis? No, he did not. So Dan comes out ahead of Zampolini. Zampolini behind Dan Davis and ahead of Matt Wright. So Zampolini will slot into 16th place because Van Zyl's also into the pits.
Yeah, I'm back in the session now, so I don't know what happened there, and luckily it's not a thing for everyone, so just my end. Whatever happened there, I don't know. I was going to try and have a look at the lap times.
Okay,
I'm looking at Dan.
Sorry. Goudet and Cardno into the pits at the same time. They was racing each other on track there in the pits at the same time. Carlos has now got past Williams, so Yin Yang do the switcheroo on the circuit. O'Reilly gets a run on Williams as well, and up and over the brow of the hill through the little left-hand bend. Williams on that inside line of O'Reilly into the Gilles Villeneuve chicane. They just bump wheel to wheel. Both cut a little bit of each. And then Williams has that inside line for the final part of it and will come back out in front. So Carlos past Williams. O'Reilly couldn't capitalise there. He's going to have a look though now actually at the hairpin corner to the outside line. Does he look for the up and under? No, he's going to try and hold it strong around the outside because Williams gets it stopped on the apex. Doesn't get a great exit. That's helped O'Reilly now fully side by side these two are as they come down to the final chicane. Can O'Reilly keep it strong on the inside line of the first part? Will Williams hold it strong around the second part? Yes, he does. Bit more bouncing off of each other there, and Hoopert's come to play in this one. And O'Reilly somehow still has a nose looking up the inside. Jamal Clouden is that Jamal Clouden? Is he pitted? He has pitted. He's back down to 24th. And now Hooper looking around the outside of turn 1 on O'Reilly. That'll give him the inside line for turn 2. And Hooper going to say yes to that. Squeezing up the inside he goes. Has a little wiggle in towards turn 3 now. Still got the car there with O'Reilly. And down in towards turn 4, he's going to have that inside line once again, and O'Reilly's going to have to fight that one another day as they again make a bit of contact. It's good to see that within that MSA stable, gloves are off and they are allowed to go racing with each other because they are door banging like mad.
Absolutely, and I thought that was reasonably fair from Williams. I think he gave O'Reilly a little bit of a touch, but he gave him lots of room into the chicane, and a great bit of driving from Williams, in my opinion. And I've got to say, I'm liking that dapper livery. That BMW looks mean as in black, doesn't it?
I think the Honda looks better this year than in the orange and grey, if I'm going to be honest with you as well. Hayo's got a disconnect. So we've lost. Oh no, Hayo's back. No, so is Sully still out there then? So I thought it was Sully who disconnected. We are down to 33 still. So yeah, it must be Sully because he says he's behind Ramsell on the time screen. He's only done 4 laps, so he actually retired very early on, and we've just noticed Hayo's back in though.
Yeah.
And he's down to 33. So it's about finishing that race. Zampolini's just got within half a second of Dan, and has lost a bit of momentum. McGowan into the pits now. So McGowan was ahead of Zampolini after Zampolini's spin, remember. So let's see where McGowan comes out in relation to Dan and Zampolini now. Will he slot in between them? Will he jump Dan, or will these two have jumped him?
I was having a look at Dan's lap times. He's been putting in 28 after 28 after 28. So I think Dan's trying to get himself into that rhythm of consistent lap times, trying to make up the difference after his pit stop. And I mean, he's back up to 13th. We'll see how it all kind of pans out as we get through the last of the pit stops. Still 22 minutes of pit window left. So people who want to go long can.
McGowan, by the way, sorry Kelly, he's coming out the pit lane now. He's just come off the limiter, so Friedman will get the jump. I think McGowan may be just in front of this Dan and Zampolini fight. That's Hoffer, who McGowan's actually going to just come out near, and in front of, who is a back marker. So oh no, he goes a little bit wide. That's going to allow Hoffer to come underneath him. So the back marker of Hoffer gets in front of McGowan. You imagine McGowan will be on the lights and the blue flags, getting Hoffer out the way to get through as quick as he possibly can. Not actually seen. There's the first blue flag. So there we go. There's one blue flag. There's Dan and Zampolini in the background. So the more that Hoffer stays ahead of McGowan, the more this plays into Dan and Zampolini's hands. And there we go. Hoffer straight lines the chicane and gets right out of McGowan's way and stays out of Dan and Zampolini's way as well. So Dan, McGowan, Zampolini all having a little scrap now. This is for 12th, 13th and 14th at the moment, with other cars to pit, like O'Reilly, who's in now.
McGowan looking very loose on the back end of that McLaren. He bounced across the chicane when Hoffer let him through, and he's just gone through the next chicane, and the back end of that McLaren is all over the shop. You won't see that on mine.
No, you won't. You've probably got the most stable car ever. Zampolini and Dan getting very close to each other there through the hairpin. O'Reilly's done his pit stop. He's now trundling down the pit lane. That didn't seem a very long pit stop for O'Reilly, so I'm wondering if O'Reilly's decided to take tyres. That's going to be the telltale sign, I think, come the end of this race, is who's took tyres or not. I think could be the one to see where people are. O'Reilly comes out the pit lane and is well ahead of the pack.
I hope that people try it, and I hope it gives mixed results. Because I would like to see some people make a success of doing one set of tyres, and then other people will try it. I don't want everyone to do it, but you know, we just want to see the variety in it. Do you know what I mean?
I think
who can do it.
I don't think O'Reilly changed tyres there. That pit stop was very, very quick, and this is going to be something interesting to see what we can do. McGowan's actually pulled away a little bit from Dan. Dan's still got Zampolini for cover. Let's just have a look at some other fights on track. Zampolini, he bounces over the chicane, nearly up the inside of Dan there. Matt Wright's got that of Meyer on the back of him. That's down for 15th and 16th. We've got Mike Matthews, who's got De Bont behind him. Millington's got Clouden there for company. Van Zil's trying to chase down Goudet, who's jumped Cardno, an absolute peach. Ben Rook on the back of Lino. Down the order, we've still got Ramsell and Hayo to make their pit stops, as we have as well Snipe. That's how good O'Reilly did, by the way. He came out 3 seconds ahead of Snipe, who's not pitted yet. Oh, Friedman side by side with Snide, sorry. And Friedman round the outside of Snide in the braking zone of the final chicane, job done.
Absolutely. By the time I got time to switch over to it, the job was done.
Yeah.
I'm on board with Zamblini at the moment, who's hunting down, or is in close company of Dan, and Dan just dragging McGowan, kind of holding station really, not climbing all over the back of McGowan yet. But
Millington, sorry Kelly, Millington's got a yellow flag round his name. He's been off. You can see the bonnet lifted on that cart. That's allowed Goudet through, and Van Zilli's got Cardno behind him now, so Millington has been off the road somewhere. And he's got a bit of damage to his name. I did notice when we was watching that Dan McGowan-Zampolini fight, look in the background here, the viewers, there is Tardok. So that explains how far he is in front, considering he's not pitted yet.
Yeah. You're right, he hasn't pitted yet, and for those who did take tyres, which would be most of them, that's still a 30-second pit stop. You know, so that's a handful of time. But again, this is how this is going to throw things up. Multiple, huge grid, large pit window, larger race. This is going to play into things. There's going to be lapping going on. More of it.
100%. I mean, look at the track map. There's still barely a space on track where you've got a good gap. The 442 of Carlos has probably got the cleanest part of the circuit until he gets to number
34.
9 of Ledger. 442.
Who's 34?
I don't know who 34 is. Why?
Oh, just they look like they had a big old space. Oh, that's Harris.
Yeah, they've got a good space, but the 15's pretty close to them. I think the 442 to Ledger's got the biggest space. Put it this way, Carlos at the second chicane, Ledger's at the hairpin, whereas the 34's coming into turn 4 while the 15's halfway down the straight towards the first chicane. So I think Carlos got the best gap here. Dan slides on the exit of turn 1. He's now just gone from attacking the back of McGowan to having Zampolini attacking the back of him. And this is going to be interesting. Zampolini's been in the thick of battles all afternoon long.
As I said, I think his...
Well,
sorry, I'll just say, I think his name's going to pop up a little bit in the steward's room this week.
We'll see what happens, but he's now got to come up with a 10-time champ Dan Davis, who's you may see struggle in a week or two's time. He's got a new Fanatec being sorted. Zampolini's got the run on him here. We'll get back to that in a moment. Zampolini not alongside. He dives up the inside now. The second chicane misses the apex and pushes Dan off. Hits McGowan in the process, and then Dan can't get past any of them. Oh, and now he's hit McGowan again, and Dan's got past the pair of them. And here comes the race leader. So you've got to be careful. Oh, Tardok's in the back of McGowan.
Oh my God!
Chaos at Zolder, Kelly.
Yeah. Absolutely, and the leader, just minding his own business, gets into the back of this little trio that were having a scrap of their own. So, that's not great, is it?
No, not great at all. What I was saying about Dan, maybe off the pace a little bit. He's got the new Fanatec. He's got a low self pedal. May take some adjusting for Dan to get used to. So we'll see what happens.
You say that because Ben Rook has also got the same setup and reckons he found 6 tenths.
I'm not saying it's not quicker, Kelly. I'm just saying it's that change of getting used to, and Ben's had that time in the off season to get used to that pedal. Dan will now be doing it during the season.
What I thought was a nice touch at some of you are friends with Ben will seen on his Facebook. He had his wheels signed by some of the touring car drivers. Tom Ingram and Sam Osborne and Dan Robot signed his wheel, which I thought was a nice touch.
Yeah, I did as well. Zampolini's still on the back then of Dan Davis here at the moment. Myers on the back now of Matt Wright. Leader, by the way, in silver is currently Cairns, but hasn't pitted. Sylph's pitted. Sylph had that big of a gap in second. He's come out 20 seconds ahead of... Oh, no, sorry, has he? No, he's coming out the pit lane now, so that's updated. Sylph now out the pits and has just dropped behind Overtaker. So, that's a...
Overtaker making a bit of a comeback. We'll see how his pits go.
See what happens in the pits. Yeah. Williams has come out ahead of O'Reilly, look, after their pit stop. And O'Reilly's still on the back of him. Back to Zampolini and Davis. Ben got his Fanatec wheels signed this weekend, gone at Truxton by a couple of drivers, which he was happy about.
Yeah, I said that. I don't know who said it first.
I thought that was really cool. It. So nice touch that. Nice touch.
Yeah, I thought it was cool.
I hope while Ben was having it done, everybody was telling him to like and subscribe to Simply Motorsport. Not obviously they would have done already, but while everybody's already there, if you haven't already, press the thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and hit that bell to be notified. We'll be back live on Tuesday night. Dan Davis and Alexa Marshall bringing you the the Who Darren Cup Ginetta Series on Tuesday evening. From Monza, Dan Davies will be back live on Wednesday for the Pro-Am coverage, and then myself, Sweet Sticky, will be back in your box on Thursday evening for Pro, all at the Temple of Speed, which is Monza. Now, blue flags are flying for Zampolini. I don't know about Dan at the moment, but blue flags are flying for Zampolini.
There's
Tordoc's catching him down.
3.
It's not the amount of blue flags, it's the amount of corners, let's not forget. So Zampolini's got to be getting out the way relatively soon, you'd imagine, of the leader. Dan's just gone a little wide, has a moment, tucks it back together. Now Zampolini moves. So Zampolini straight out the way. Dan instantly follows suit to allow Tordoc through, and also kind of cover that inside line while he's there.
Yeah, nicely done, I think.
I'd agree.
Timed that in just the right space. He saw Tordoc coming down the inside, but covered the line. Tordoc lost a bit of time there negotiating these two, but not like he hasn't got a bit in hand.
Exactly that. Williams and O'Reilly still going at it. Overtaker has lost out to Sylph a little bit. Sylph's just started to pull away, just trying to look at other fights on the circuit. Matt Wright has pulled away a little bit from Meyer, not a huge amount. Meyer's still there or thereabouts. We've got Ben Rook on the back of Steve Millington now. He's got past Leno and started to pull away from Leno. Rob Ramsell still to pit as well, by the way, down in 32nd place. But Calseth in and out the pits. Dan Davis is through, Zampolini's through, McGowan's through. Matt Wright, he's got Meyer making a move up the inside of him at turn 3. Job done for Meyer on Matt Wright. Mike Matthews, De Bont, Erkin Koglu. Where did Calseth come out there? He's side by side with that of, I believe that's Patrick Ledger. Yes, it is. So he's come out, what will be 20th, 19th place, I reckon.
Yes, indeed. O'Reilly still can't find a way past Williams. He's been looking at the back of that Merc most of the evening this evening, and fame for Zampini, he can't see a way past Dan Davis at the moment. Yeah, they're two of the closest battles on track. We try to cover as much as we possibly can. Looks like Matt Wright's coming back at Mayer. Yes, those cars of Simplay Racing looking very nice in the orange and black, very, very much McLaren-like. I thought I'd get a chance to look at them. As I said, sorry if we can't get all the action, because there's a lot of action. Ben Rook having a look at Steve Millington. He's going to have a look down the inside into the chicane. This could be interesting between the two of them. And Ben Rook got it done. And Leno, new guy, he just got a little bit... anyway, just basically got out of the way, and Ben got the job done. And I think the back marker of Heyo just went past him. So all to play for, up and down. There's points all the way down to 30th. You've got to score points to win a championship. So even when you're having a bad day, you've got to make the best of it.
You have indeed. Zampolini on the back of Dan. Zampolini taps the back of Dan as they both bunny up over the first chicane. Dan's going to be getting incredibly frustrated at the amount of drivers that have been in his rear end tonight. That is,
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
That has hit his rear end, not been in his rear end. Let me rephrase that one.
Rephrase that much better. Luckily, I bought plenty of body panels for them for the
Lamborghini supplied a few more than Porsche.
I got a good deal. I buy one get 6 free, and I got a great deal on some of the rubbish body parts as well. So
Tordoc's pitted. He's came out half a second off the back of Hooper. So Tordoc may actually have to overtake somebody in this race. As O'Reilly once again still on the back of Williams here. Then Dan Davies now back in the top 10. I said he'd struggled to get top 7, didn't I? He's 4 seconds off the back of Snide, who's 4 seconds off the back of Friedman. So that's 8 seconds, 8.5 seconds. I think Danny's off the back of Will Friedman. So that's just showing there that how much that one spin has cost Dan, possible top 10 position. That is Ramsell coming out the pit lane as Zampolini's looking up the inside into turn 2. And then there's Robert Ramsell. I think Zampolini is going to have that done. He's got to be careful of the back marker, and then runs down onto the grass a little bit there. Not a car's width left on the outside. I tell you what, limits being pushed here at Zolder tonight. Belgium is putting on a belter. Car 15,
Absolutely.
who's the car 15? The yellow flag at this chicane here. And car 15 is Hey-Ho. Hey-Ho's off.
Yeah. Yes, indeed, and the pecking order is being sorted out, isn't it? Who's alpha male? Who's got the biggest kahunas? And it's starting to be sorted out. But
Matt Wright's had a moment, and Mike Matthews has just got past him. De Bont may fancy a look as well. No, not close enough. So, sorry, Kelly.
Oh, not at all. I was just saying that the pecking order is being sorted out. Yeah. But at the moment, it's. Normal service resumed with MSA Racing, and there's still the top two haven't pitted yet. Still 8 minutes. They're going very long now, Matt, aren't they?
And there's 8 minutes left of the pit window, and there's 3 drivers I'm interested. Snide, we know he's probably going to tumble down the order. He's got a bit of damage on his car as well. Carlos and Hooper, in terms of Williams and O'Reilly, very interested to see where they come out. An overtaker in regards to Zampellini and Dan, very interested about as well. So, going to be one to keep our eyes on what will happen between them 3 when they all decide to come into the pit lane. Tarlock here just being held a little bit by Hooper, which you would say is playing into Silph's hand, but Silph is 9.5 behind, and that's Clouden behind them. You'd love to say that Clouden's in this contention and in this fight for the positions. Sadly, he's down in 21st and a lap down.
Yeah, it's another night for him to forget, unfortunately. He looked like he was having great pace. And again, Hooper just absolutely flirting with the wall. So incredibly close. He runs to the pit wall. Tardock, Hooper was... sorry? Take us in. This will be interesting. He's another one that fell victim to being hit and spun round reasonably early doors. Let's see if he's put in enough lap times to drag himself back up into possibly... a good points playing position is what he's looking for now, because you've got to say the podium is lost for a lot of these guys. It's just who can score good points. Oh, Hooper's round. He dropped it all by himself on the exit of the chicane. Back end unsettled, just bounced that car round. Tardock said, "Thank you. I'm going to be in front of you anyway." But that's given Hooper. He falls behind. Well, Clouden's gone past him, but that's not for position. I don't know where that's going to be. Hooper's going to end up after that little spin, but that was he's been dicing with death on that chicane all evening, and it's caught him out this time.
The answer to our question, Kelly, of where overtaker will be, it's behind Williams, behind O'Reilly, and behind Will Friedman, but ahead of Zampellini and Dan Davis by a couple of seconds as well. So overtaker doing the business there. O'Reilly still looking at the back of Williams. We've got Matt Wright staring at the back of Mike Matthews. Meyer, he's now class leader in that gold category, don't forget. De Bont on the back of Mike, and there's Pinkoglu 16th. Snide still in the pit lane. He's dropping down the order. Kalsef, Ledger, Cairns, Clouden. Gooday's coming past him now. In fact, no, Snide's just come off the limiter, so let's see if Gooday will get Snide. Gooday will. And then what about Van Zyl just behind John Gooday? There's Snide emerging at the bottom of your screen, and there is Van Zyl. So Gooday up to 21st, Snide down to 22nd. Van Zyl will be looking at the back of that red Mercedes-Benz. We've got Millington and Harris having a bit of a scrap down for 26th and 27th.
Absolutely. Rob Smith in the chat saying big kahunas are one thing, but push to path isn't on. Totally agreed. You know, I've made my feelings quite clear on sim racing in the past. I want us all to race more like proper racers with consequences, but we'll see how that goes. ZRX saying loving the racing and commentary. We're here to please. We're here to please, and thank you for the comments. It's always nice to know that we're doing a great job. I mean, the laughs and giggles are enough, but it's always enough. It's always nice to hear from you guys as well. Keep your comments coming in. We love to hear from you. You make it. You make a different element for us to talk about, and we need that.
So, let's have a look back on the rear wing then of Williams coming down over the brow of the hill. Turn 7 here, it's over into the Gilles Villeneuve chicane. Got that black and white Honda, very good on the brakes through the chicane. Middle part of the lap, but again just losing outlook on that traction part zone of the Mercedes-Benz. And last time we saw a Mercedes on the Pro Grid was Clouden a couple of seasons ago. Didn't have the best of seasons in it, so Williams and Snide choosing the Mercedes, as has Hoff. We'll see how they get on. So far, you have to say that Williams has done a pretty good job. He's done a bit of a Kelly Davis drive. He's defended really well.
Yeah. Absolutely, he's kept it. I'd probably say a little bit better because I do tend to get caught in the end, you know. And O'Reilly's probably be able to read you all those stickers in his sleep tonight on the back of that Mercedes because he's seen it for so long. Williams did a cracking job of holding on to that, and I don't think Mercedes certainly isn't that was close, wasn't it? It's not a favoured choice of car by a long shot. So yeah.
I think doing a great job either, so I think it's two unfavoured cars really going at it for 5th and 6th on the circuit. And we said last season, didn't we, that Dan and O'Reilly best of the rest, and interesting choices of the Porsche and the Honda. Interesting to see O'Reilly keep this for a second season. We saw that O'Reilly at times was quick in the Honda. What we saw though at times was that Honda just go off, wasn't it? And he seemed to slip and slide and have troubles with it. We've not seen that today though in the Honda. Maybe he's found something to dial it out.
Maybe, and you know, there's something to be said for sticking with a certain car. I've certainly done it all the time I've been on ACC. I've stuck with the same car. For me, I like the consistency that I've now got with the car, and it could be the same for O'Reilly. Stick with it. You know, most of these cars, if you can dial them in, or they suit your style, can win races. You know, you know, certainly. I think the Lexus is one that Dan did very, very well with, but other people can't get on so well with, you know. But you know, as I said, if you can dial it in, most of them can do the right job.
Yep, I agree. We've got O'Reilly here. Zampolini's within a second now of overtaker, so let's see what's happening here. Rob Smith says Murky's great to a point, then it throws itself into the scenery. I think that's how the Honda pretty much wasn't it, last year? If I remember back to O'Reilly, it seemed very quick and good in his hands, but then you just have a moment or two where that was it just snap on him in a strange position. Yeah,
reminds me of, again, Project Cars. That was like every car. All of a sudden you'd just be going on minding your own business, and then you're in the wall. Zambini having a look at overtaker now. He's going to have another. He's knocked him round. Oh dear, that's not great, is it? You know, yeah, a little bit pushy.
Taker is giving that. That is a duffing flash if I've ever seen one.
An angry one.
That is several presses of the button, and it's still going. So that is 100%. No, and he's not going to be.
And fair play, to be honest.
Yeah, rightly so. Rightly so from what we see. And you know what? I credited Nico Rosberg for his approach to something the other day in the Formula One. I'm going to take the same approach. Zampolini has just drove through overtaker there.
Yeah, and I mean, it's, you know.
Say it as you see it, Kelly. Say it as you see it, isn't it?
Well, yeah, you know, as I say, we don't down on any driver. It's all for fun and whatever. But I think Zambini's been a little bit pushy tonight, and I think that will reflect in the stewards' room, and that's where it'll end. You know, so but I mean, it is difficult when you've been knocked around, because those, however much the stewards favour you, it's that race lost. You know, and that time lost. So, and as I said, I am a strong believer in trying to. So I say trying to race as cleanly, as fairly as possible, and I know stuff happens to us all, you know.
Just put out there, echoing Kelly's comments here. When Kelly says favouring, it means in terms of going in your favour in that steward's decision. It doesn't mean that the stewards have favourite people.
No.
Would rather steward over. It means favouring that decision of that said driver. Obviously, as Kelly then said, you know, what overtaker has lost there may not be what you know, if that would have gone fully round and Taker loses 5 or 6 places, you know, Zampolini may not get a penalty that echoes 5 or 6 places to give overtaker the place back.
And overtaker's never going to have those points back. That's you know, never going to have those points back, regardless what penalty is given to. Let's take any situation, you know, if you knock someone round, and I'll tell you the one that's kind of got me, the Formula One thing, where we just had a mention about Rosberg. Just recently at Monaco, a certain driver purposely took the chicane and said, I'll take the penalty. You know, you can't go driving like that. You have to be as you know, that's not playing the game, and giving someone a nudge isn't playing the game. I've certainly been brought up around this bunch at Simplay. When you knock someone, you tend to let them have that back, you know, rightly or wrongly. You know, that's I want to see more fairer, cleaner racing. I want battles, and I don't mind cars touching, but
if you look now, though, Kelly, look, winning this last 4.5 minutes of this race, look, Dan's now on the back of Overtaker, and how much of that is down to the fact that Overtaker got tapped around at turn 2. He's now put the two fierce rivals of all these seasons gone by, back at it once again, round 2 of the season.
Absolutely, and a great word. He got me off my soapbox there, Matt. Well done. But yes, these two are rivals, both champions. Dan with quite a few. Overtaker 1 or 2 championships. One championship. Was a formidable force when he first joined us at Simplay, and I remember being in the same category as him back in those days, a long time ago, back on Project Cars. And these two have gone wheel to wheel so many times, and and here they are again. They seem to end up on the same bit of tarmac a lot, don't they?
You do indeed, and obviously Dan span around by O'Reilly early doors. Overtaker, I think that's possibly Overtaker's second incident with Zampolini in this race as well, so second with the same driver. Taker just pulled away from Dan in that middle set. Let's go back to Williams and O'Reilly. That's how it has been for an hour and 10 minutes near enough. Myers got Mike on the back of him. De Bont's lost out to Mike, but has passed Matt Wright. We've got Patrick Ledger on the back of Calseth down the order. We've got Snye and Van Zyl having a little scrap coming into the first chicane.
Ledger went deep. Sorry, mate. Ledger went deep on the grass, nearly in the wall, but he's managed to keep it out of the wall, so happy days.
And we've got Harris trying to go around the outside, now looking for the up and under on Millington at the exit of turn 3. He's got alongside and off in towards turn 4. And Millington says not today, and just behind these two having a ding-dong is third and fourth on track of that of Calseth. Sorry, his fourth and fifth of Calseth and O'Reilly. They're flashing the lights. Harris moves right out of the way, doesn't want any of it, and that's kind of saved that of Millington for another day. But these two are inseparable tonight. We speak about Dan and Overtaker being inseparable every season. O'Reilly and Williams have been inseparable tonight.
It's like they're holding hands, isn't it? Going round together, skipping round together, holding hands.
And Carlos isn't a million miles away.
Yeah, Matt, I'm doing the same thing again. I'm watching in my sim rig, and I'm using the steering wheel as I'm on board with someone. What an idiot!
Shadow practice. You talk about cricket, and you hear in cricket where you watch somebody and you do some shadow batting, as it's called, and pretend to sort of copy their technique and blah blah blah. And they call it shadow batting. What you're doing is shadow driving.
Well, I tell you what, I'm much better at it as a shadow driver.
Faster than you find.
Especially when I'm on board with Dan.
There we go. Calseth's into the pits late on in this race, so under-fueled maybe. Has he picked up a puncher? Has he tried to get the tyres to go and picked up a puncher? Who knows here then? So Calseth's going to lose out late on in this race. That's put Clouden up to 19th place then. Hoopert down. What's happened to Hoopert? He's down in 18th, so...
he had a big spin, didn't he? Had a couple
of
big. He had a couple of big moments, to be honest. I think he was pushing the limits of what the BMW will accept. Certainly the rear axle, the way he was jumping over the chicane. It's not a rally car, Hoopert. It's a GT car. Dan's having a look round the outside of Overtaker.
Very slow into 2 there. Dan got an almighty launch.
Yeah, but not enough.
Just to say, by the way, Torlock's crossing the line now to start the final lap. Dan's got this lap and one more to get this done. Daz Automatic in the chat. More tickets than the meat counter at Tesco's tonight for the stewards. Mate, you haven't seen the Pro-Am in GT4 tickets, so I don't think it's just going to be tonight that was the problem.
I hope the stewards aren't planning to do anything this weekend. Because they've got work to do.
Hey, it's a good job Le Mans on that we can sit in front of the PCs and watch Le Mans and talk about tickets.
Talk about tickets, right? We need an AI steward, don't we? An AI one that just and brutal as well. That's it. Line them up, shoot them all.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah, right. A brutal AI steward. That's
we're on the last
need.
lap. We've got O'Reilly's got one more chance to get past Williams. Dan's got 1 lap to get past Taker. Mike Matthews has got 1 lap to get past Erkin Koglu. I think we've done pretty well with his name tonight, by the way. We've not mispronunciated that once.
You haven't. I've called him Erk.
Van Zyl's on the back. Van Zyl's got 2 laps pretty much to get past that of Snye. Calseth still in the pit lane. And where is Tardock? He's at the hairpin, so we're going to stick with Tardock because he's nearly at the end, because we promised you this season we're not going to miss the end of a race. We did it 3 or 4 times last year. We're not going to miss the end of one this season. It is been...
Sorry, Dan just got closer with someone off track. Someone off track. Dan just got really close as overtaker and Dan. You pick up the leaders. I'll keep.
Yeah, well, he's weaving across the line. Tardok wins again here at Zolder. It's been a dominant night for him. His teammate Sylph is going to come across the line for a second place in what has been a great day for MSA Racing. A few of the drivers finishing down the order a lap down. Carlos comes to the line in which will be, or he's going to come to the line in which will be a solid P2. Just ahead of Williams, it's MSA 1, MSA 2, Yin Yang 3, Yin Yang 4.
Sorry, I'll get used to it.
Is that funnier than Matthew, by any chance?
Is that what? Sorry, funnier
than Matthew. When you found out how to actually pronounce my name.
Matthew. Oh, yeah, I'd forgotten about Matthew. Yeah, we'll get to that, Matthew.
Well, Carlos,
later in the season.
Carlos comes towards the final chicane now, and he is going to come across the line and take home P3. Good drive from him in this one. O'Reilly's going to have to settle for P5 as Williams gets that one. Friedman, solid comeback after the pit stops. He's going to take P6 in this. Zampolini got close to him at the end for P7, and then it's Overtaker who has hung on in there over Dan Davis.
Yeah, good racing
to
those
take
two.
Home the P8. Dan Davis will be P9. McGowan's going to cross the line for P10. Solid drive from him. Meyer P11 and the gold winner. De Bont P12. Matt Wright P13, and then it will be that of Erkin Koglu 14th place. Mike Matthews 15th place then. And we are, in fact, that is everybody on that list. So while I take a couple of screenshots on the console so that I can make sure everybody's results are inputted, there is the classification of Sully, 43 laps down. We got through in this race, 43 laps. That is incredible. Robert Ramsey was down in 32nd place for him, so that'll be no points. Steve Millington hung on there for 25th, a few points for him. Ben Rook, where did he come back to in this race? 24th for him. Dan Davis, we know, come across the line, P9. John Gooday, 20th place, good amount of points for him. Hibbs, though, where was Hibbs? Hibbs, he was down the order in 28th, not the race he would have wanted. Snye in the Mercedes down in 21st. Looks like he was in the wars a little bit tonight. Clouden 19th. 15th and 19th, he'll be disappointed with that night tonight. Hoop at 17th, not the best of race twos. Erkin Koglu was 14th place. Ian McGowan was P10. Skunky, where was Skunky? Didn't see much of Skunky tonight at all.
No, we didn't. No.
I'm going to have to take a look on the screenshots and see where Skunky was. So what we'll do is, while I'm taking a look at screenshots and getting these inputted, we'll head over to the Discord chat for any interviews.
I'll see you in there, Matt.
Yep.